Television presents El Camino Warrior Football. Good afternoon, Warrior football fans. Welcome to Murdoch Stadium. I'm Mike Kennedy along with Chris Radcliffe. The first annual Southbay Classic. Today, the Warriors host Santa Monica. 2 weeks ago, the Warriors thought that they were out of the bowl picture. But, Chris, after wins over Orange Coast, they finished with a record of 7-3.
And they did think that they were out of the bowl picture, Mike. But what do? They find out they're denied. They invent their own. I mean, give credit to Dave Shannon and John Featherstone. They didn't want their season to end early in December, so they decided to put it all together. They're playing a 6-4 team from Santa Monica today that should give them a real good game.
Santa Monica averages over 30 points a game against a tough Warrior defense. This should be an explosive affair.
Well, let's take a look at some of these numbers, Mike. You see the quarterback coming in for the Corsairs does a great job. Dylan Smith, 2,556 yards passing. He's 218 out of 329 attempts, so he really goes to the air a lot. 22 touchdowns. El Camino's John Leonard, on the other hand, even though he doesn't have quite as many passing attempts, his yardage is still fantastic with 23 touchdowns. And then you've got Delvon Flowers, who led the Mission Conference with 20 touchdowns. So El Camino still with a lot of weapons, even this late in the season. Injuries haven't been a problem. They should be okay today.
Should be a great game. It's El Camino in Santa Monica, the Southbay Classic here from El Camino. We're coming back with a starting lineup for the opening kickoff. You're watching Warrior Football on TCTV.
I have diabetes.
It can lead to more serious health problems.
I'm taking control of what I eat.
I'm exercising, taking my medicine, and testing my blood sugar.
I'll be around for my family, for life.
Control your diabetes for life. Call to find out how.
TCTV presents El Camino Warrior Football. Good afternoon, Warrior football fans. Mike Kennedy and Chris Radcliffe. Welcome to the Southbay Classic, hopefully the first annual. Chris, 2 weeks ago, it looked like the Warriors didn't have any chance of a bowl opportunity, but here we are facing Santa Monica with a record of 6-4 out of the Western States Conference.
And truly good news. Talking to both coaches before the game, Mike, they were delighted that this event could happen. They could bring it all together because a lot has to happen. I mean, you've got to get the organization, the sponsorships, and everything, and they've done a super job of putting this event together.
Flynn Turner will kick it off as the Corsairs elected to receive. The kickoff comes to the 15-yard line, returned by Smith to about the 22, and we've got a penalty flag on our first play from the line of scrimmage.
Almost certainly it appeared to be a face mask, Mike.
And there are 3 flags down there. To set the offense, and the highly potent offense for the Corsairs, look for Smith and Sykes will be the wideouts. Brown and Martin will be the running back. The tailback will be Tippins. Capolonga will be the tight end. Martin, Luque, Spencer, Overland, Blackman up front.
And it should be worth noting, Mike, that they have a potent air attack. Coach Robert Taylor, before the game, told us he doesn't start a receiver who's got less than 40 receptions on the season. So they've got many tools and many weapons to choose from.
The Warriors with a second-ranked defense in the conference. 1st and 10 after the penalty from the 45, and Smith goes right to the air, looking deep down the far sideline, and it goes incomplete. Pass was intended for Anthony Cephas, and Cephas on the year collected some 44 receptions for this offensive unit.
Well, good defensive coverage by Dante Childress. It was a battle of the twos there. Number 2 at the wideout against number 2 out there on the wing. And Santa Monica looked like they had some kind of false starter, improper movement on the tight end right in front of us. But they're going to let them get away with it, and it's going to be a second down. Good call right off the bat for Samo to go for it.
Smith at quarterback, lines up in the shotgun, pass for over 5,000 yards, throws it in the flat, completes it. They're at the 45-yard line. Devon Smith is swarmed under by 4 Warriors, led by Trevon Waller, and he gets an assist from Ladarius Jackson.
Sure did. And Usman also in on there. That's what El Camino is going to have to do well today, Mike. They've got that great defense. Well, they're going to have to maintain it by tackling well, because the Corsairs like to get the ball out to the wings and let their receivers do some magic once they've got the football in their hands, isolated one-on-one. It's got to be a lot of gang tackling today on the part of El Camino.
No gain on the play, so it's facing a 3rd and 10 from the 45-yard line. Ball in the near hash mark. Smith again looks for his second completion. He's got it to the wideout, Eugene Sykes, who on the year had 75 receptions, the second leading receiver in the nation. Sykes will be short of the first down at the Warrior 47.
Well, Ladarius Jackson was right in Dylan Smith's face for the last 2 pass plays. but he's able to get rid of the ball quickly, Smith, that is. So Ladarius Jackson, even though he's hardly being blocked at the line of scrimmage and check, Mike, they're going to have to hustle up and get him in even quicker. Look at this. They got a whole new unit coming in.
They'll come in as they're short on a 4th and 2 at the Warrior 47.
So coming on late in the field, a little bit of misorganization right off the bat. El Camino with a good chance here.
Kedlin will punt. The Warriors with one back. Look for a fake. No rush. And the kick is away. Eric Barnes calling a fair catch, but the ball goes over his head, hits at the goal line into the end zone. So it'll come out 1st and 10 for the Warriors. And now we'll get a chance to see this potent Warrior offense led by quarterback John Leonard and tailback Del Flowers.
Well, the Cardinal sin, Mike, is when you run a route for a first down, you never come up short of it, and you can't see the markers there because they are on the far side, but he ran that particular pattern just 2 yards short, and they're unable to get a first down, even though it's a nice completion, and it ends up perhaps costing them some yardage because the kick goes into the end zone for a touchback, and rather than pinning El Camino deep inside their own 10, why they get a fresh 20, get a fresh 1st and 10 from their own 20.
The highly touted Jabari Hendricks is the man to watch on this Corsairs defense. He wears number 90. Leonard has Flowers shift to the right from the 20, 1st and 10. The pitch comes Flowers, gets to the outside. They wrap him up at about the 23-yard line. Good defensive play by the outside linebacker. Coming up to make the stop is Julian Mims.
Well, it's all Delvon Flowers, Mike. He eludes the defensive lineman, Tobias Farias, out of Los Angeles High School. He's 6'4", 245 pounds, so not one of the biggest defensive ends out there. But I'll tell you, Delvon Flowers goes right by him like he's standing still. So that's a good sign to see Flowers nice and healthy, cutting nice right off the bat, because that's his specialty, Mike. Cutting upfield and fancy, exciting runs. He'll spin in the open field. We've seen him do it all this year.
2 wideouts near side. In the slot, Sharon Leonard out of South Torrance, who caught 3 touchdown passes last week. Here's a floater to the far side, over the shoulder drop at the 45-yard line by Antonio Chapman. He had his man beat and might have gone for a score.
Well, drop is the key word, and I mean, that's exactly what happened. The hard part about this catch, and the reason it's difficult, there we see the last Flowers run there. He goes right by number 99 in your screen, Ferris, that we mentioned earlier. But it's going to be very difficult, Mike, to turn over your left shoulder and then turn back over your right shoulder and recover on a long thrown ball. You've really got to stick with your route and look over one shoulder or the other, and I believe that's why Chapman dropped that pass.
So the Warriors facing a 3rd and 7 from the 23. Leonard with Sonny Bird, the one remaining back, brings Rashad Reed into the picture in motion. Throwing to the far side. The pass is complete. A first down for the Warriors all the way to the 43-yard line. Chapman holds on to that one. All-Mission Conference first team this year for the Warriors on offense with John Leonard, Delvon Flowers. Chapman makes the first team. Adrian Davila, an offensive guard for the Warriors, and their center, Omar Souf. So it's a successful season for John Featherstone, down his 14th year. An overall record of 103, 44, and 1.
Yeah, you can't believe they've got that many players up there on first team and didn't do better in conference. I mean, it gives you an idea of the strength of the conference, Mike.
4 players made the second offensive team. We'll bring that to you after the play from the 44 to 1st and 10. Flowers cracks the middle. Hendricks is there after about a 1-yard gain to the 45. On the second team for the Warriors, running back Sonny Bird, wideout Rashad Reed, the offensive tackle Billy Miller, punt returner Eric Barnes, and the kicker for the Warriors, Flynn Turner.
And nice to see a couple of freshmen on that team in the form of Miller out of South Torrance and Sonny Bird out of Maricosta. So that's a good sign for Featherstone. He'll hope those guys can step it up and move into first-team players next year.
So Hendricks wraps up Flowers after a gain of 1 to get Flowers to the outside with a pitch. He follows Billy Miller, crosses midfield to the Corsairs' 42-yard line, and another first down on the ground for the Warriors. On the year, 18 touchdowns on the ground for Del Flowers, who made second-team All-American at community college level.
And boy, did he come out like gangbusters at the beginning of the season. Tapered off a little bit, probably due to a sore leg and also the schedule bit. But take nothing away from him. He's a big-time player, and he's going to
finish where John the flag. He's got 9-4 touch. 6-0. A flag at the 45, and it may be holding against El Camino College.
Oh, boy, what a bad break. It's going to be unsportsmanlike. I think that's what they're signaling, Mike. Yeah, so El Camino, knowing that touchdown will stand.
So the Warriors score first on a 42-yard completion. Leonard to Chapman. It stands up. The flag is against Santa Monica. And the Warriors lead 6-0 with 11:13 to go here in the first quarter with their on the board.
And what an important drive. They go 80 yards, starting from their own 20, put up a perfect sequence of plays, Mike. A nice balance of ground versus air attack. Great job for the Warriors to start off an exciting bowl game by putting it all together. That's got to make them feel real good.
Well, we were just giving John Leonard stats in his last game with 3 touchdown passes. On the year, he ranked 5th in the conference, completing 63% of his passes, 23 touchdowns, only 8 interceptions, and average 218 yards a game. So now he's thrown for 24 scores on the year.
And a lot of those numbers are growing because of the touch that he's added on those long passes, Mike. I mean, that last one was just beautiful. He really throws it up there gently, and he trusts his receivers to run underneath him because he believes that with their size and speed, they can exploit anyone else's secondary.
Flynn Turner in for the conversion. The Warriors take the score, refuse the penalty. Kevin Cooper will hold. A low conversion, but the kick is good. El Camino leads 7-0 on a 42-yard touchdown pass from John Leonard to Antonio Chapman.
And that was Chapman's second reception on the drive. He's responsible for 66 of those yards off of his 2 catches. So, I mean, he was a major reason for that 80-yard score there by the Warriors. And that puts the pressure right back on the Santa Monica College. There's your score, 7-0 coming out of the gate. The Warriors are fired up. They got the band here. They got the cheerleaders on the far side. And despite having a rather small crowd to begin, we expect a large arriving crowd, given the fact that UCLA is very busy playing a football game down in Miami right now. And Coach Featherstone thought a lot of folks would show up at the halftime of this event after that game's concluded.
Santa Monica City College out of the Western States Conference, the Southern Division, finished in the division with a record of 5-2, 6-4 overall, averaging 39 points a game in conference, while their defense gives up 30 points a game. And then we talked about their explosive offense led by Dylan Smith at quarterback. Well, the defense has given up the first score. They trail 7-0 as Flynn Turner gets ready to kick it off. Again, it goes to Stevan Smith at the 5. Brings it back across the 15, where the Warriors wrap him up at about the 16-yard line. Sean Ain with the tackle out of West Torrance High School.
And again, good tackling on special teams. These are a lot of freshmen that are really hungry guys. And Coach Taylor made a great point from Santa Monica before this game. He said, you know what, I'm treating this game for my freshmen like it's next year's first game. So they really have a chance to get things wet. And he may even, on the back end of a blowout, or if this game does get lopsided one way or the other, give his younger guys a chance to become starters that are going to be around next season.
Coach Featherstone, shown across the way, talks to his special unit, his special teams guilty of an offsides on a kickoff, which is pretty hard to do. So the ball will go back to the 30-yard line, and Flynn Turner will kick it again.
Well, here's the kick. There you see the fumblage right up at the 5-yard line. And he's coming our way. There's the great protection. There you see Sean A, number 22 on your screen, right in to finish the tackle. So that's a nice job, but it's all for naught because they're going to back it up 5 yards, and we're going to do it again.
Coach Featherstone told us they didn't want to close out the year the way they had in a tough loss in the closing seconds against Cerritos, 25-24. They came back with an afternoon win over Orange Coast and set the record at 7-3. Here's Smith again from the 22 up the middle. He's at midfield, a missed tackle, the 40, and finally Flynn Turner is there, and he gets an assist from Chris Osman, and they knock him out of bounds, but he returns it all the way to about the 35, and I see another flag at the 40.
It's a late flag, Mike. Again, if we could turn him off in the truck, I'd appreciate it. We got a late flag again coming right down on the far side of the 40-yard line. It looks like another kind of penalty. These teams are really angry at each other. I mean, you want these guys hyped up, but there was a lot of talking going on before the game, a little bit of tension, and that's why we're seeing these unsportsmanlike fouls coming in.
About a 55-yard return.
No, he's going to come right over here and talk to the man in charge.
We're going to talk to Robert Taylor. So we have 10:49 to go in the opening quarter for Murdoch Stadium. Unsportsmanlike penalty is the call against the Corsairs, and that nice return by Smith is taken all the way back now to the Santa Monica 48.
Yeah, they back him up across midfield. Mike, two things that you want to look at after we see a nice opening drive is some stats that could become a factor in this game. Yards passing, the record for El Camino, 645 by Steve Sarkisian. John Leonard's well on his way, and 230 receiving yards is the record. So we'll see if Chapman can make a run at that today.
Held Turkey Brown to the 49. Grant brings him down after a gain of about a yard with a 2nd and 9. On the Warrior defense, they also had 5 players on the first team defensively. Ladarius Jackson, Dolores Grant, defensive ends, Matt Cipolla, Tavita Mawala, Eric Barnes make the first team, while Wilford Lopes and Trevon Waller on the second team for El Camino.
And Matt Cipolla is a great story. We'll give you his wonderful record up in a minute here.
From the 49, Smith throws incomplete across the way. Strong rush from the Warriors. It's Grant and Jackson, and now they're talking trash in the referee, standing right in the middle of it, throws the flag. The referee is Jim Horner. Cooley is the umpire, Crowley the linesman, Osborne the line judge, and the back judge is Larry Wilson.
So we're going to have offsetting penalties. Not a good idea to have that kind of behavior, Mike, right in front of the man with the white hat. You have a hard enough time getting away in front of it with somebody with a dark hat and a striped shirt, but that white-hatted guy, that's his job, is to knock that stuff out. He watches for holding in the backfield and watches for unsportsmanlike penalties. And remember, he is in charge out here as we see the cheerleader trying to make some noise. And this game, boy, it really doesn't know which way it wants to go right now because the penalties are just fixed on the yardage back and forth across the field.
Jim Farmer starts the clock. We have 10 minutes remaining in the opening quarter. The Warriors lead 7-0. Now Grant shifts with Jackson. Pressure by Moala. Gets beat. Smith to the midfield, and he's run out of bounds.
Oh, he's got to go for the first down on that, Mike.
He comes up short by about 4 yards. He saw Dolores Grant with him lined up in his sights, and Smith scampers out at the 46.
Well, you can never fault the quarterback for not wanting to take a shot, but when you're 3 or 4 yards away and you have a chance to dive or make a move to avoid a defender rather than go for the first down, coaches and players are going to respect the guy that'll go for it, and maybe Smith made the right decision. If he gets hit and fumbles, it's disastrous, but hey, you got nothing to lose today. Go for it.
Eric Barnes stands at the 10-yard line for the Warriors. And the kick taken at the 8, bounces off his chest. A marker is down, but it's not a flag. Now a late flag comes in.
There's another one.
At about the 18-yard line. Only 2 yards on the return. And we'll see what the call is. Most likely a clip against El Camino.
Well, a really funny catch by Eric Barnes, Mike. It bounced off his chest shoulder pads and went right back into his own arm. So he really caught a break himself.
Well, he was fortunate that could bound right into the end zone on a punt return like that. So here in the first quarter, our game has been halted by 5 penalties already.
Watch the catch. Point. He takes his eye off it. You can see he looks right down at the ground, but then he's quick to pick it up again. Good presence of mind by Barnes, but you know what? Everything's busted at that point, and he's just going to be taken down with no gain.
A block in the back is the call against the Warriors. Ball's going to be at the 3-yard line. So 97 yards from pay dirt.
Well, let's see if we can ask our wonderful TCTV crew to come up with a shot for us across at the old 30-yard line in front of the Warrior bench, 35-yard line. We got a bunch of guys in maroon jackets over there, Mike. That's the Torrance High possible recruits this year. They like a lot of guys, and that's going to bring me to my story about Matt Cipolla here in just a moment after this play.
From the 3, pitch goes to Flowers, gets out of the end zone, crosses the 5, the 10, and carries to about the 12, make it the 13-yard line, and he'll be close to a first down for the Warriors on their first possession coming out of the end zone.
Matt Cipolla, an all-conference defensive player. There you see the guys over there in their Torrance High jackets. There's some West High jackets here as well today. Matt Cipolla was a linebacker for Rock Hollis's crew at 240 pounds last year for Torrance. Well, he's beefed up to 290 pounds this year for Steve Schmitz's defensive line. Done a super job, was an all-conference selection, and as a freshman, Mike, he was the only guy this year to play both ways for El Camino. He goes in and plays offensive line on their goal line stances. So, I mean, a great guy to have coming back next year. They said he'll be the leader and the captain of that defensive line.
Warriors with a first down. Flowers picks up 11 to the 14-yard line. Bird and Flowers split back inside handoff. Sonny Bird stopped for no gain. A whole host of white jerseys by the Corsairs. The first one in on him is Ferris, and Ferris makes the stop after a half-yard gain.
Ferris coming around from defensive end. Sonny Bird, much of a different runner than Delvon Flowers. He's much more of a perfectionist. He's really good style where it's just simple. Sonny Bird doesn't do too many things fancy, and he might not look the fastest, but he's deceptively quick. So when he breaks one, I mean, he can burst for 15 or 20 yards, maybe not open field speed where he can go end wire to wire, but he can pick up some gains in a hurry.
Short of the 15. Leonard to pass. Good protection. He's got Flowers at the 30, and it's incomplete. Flowers looking back over his left shoulder in this afternoon sunshine. We've got a perfect day for football in early December here at El Camino College. It was rain throughout the week, but, Chris, the field is held up well.
It looks great. And Coach Featherstone said it drains well. They don't get a lot of wind down in here, which usually means that it's very difficult for things to dry. But because of that, it's a beautiful afternoon for a ball game. If we'd have played here tonight, the evenings have been so cool that it would have had a much different effect. But today in the sunshine, it's got to feel great for those guys out there on the field.
Short of the 15. Third down as Chapman is in motion. Here's Leonard. And he misses Campbell at the 45. You were talking about Sonny Bird a minute ago.
Yeah.
And Sonny Bird and the Warriors' 50-20 win over Orange Cows 2 weeks ago to close out the year had 172 all-purpose yards, rushed for 90, had 2 touchdowns on the ground, caught 4 more passes for 67 yards and a touchdown, and also returned a kickoff 15 yards.
That's right, and that's what Sonny Bird is best at using his exploits. You don't just call him a running back, put him back there and say, okay, go to work. He's not that kind of runner, Mike. You can't ask a guy to do something he can't do. What he can do is fill in exceptionally for you all over the field. You got to use him as a weapon. That's the way they exploit him.
Flynn Turner standing at the goal line to punt, averaged 43 yards a punt, took over the chores from John Leonard in game number 7. Kick comes to the 46. Mawala is there, makes the initial hit, and then the rest of the blue jerseys on the returner. And with Eugene Sykes, one of the best kick returners in the Western Conference, he is stopped after he gains about 2 yards.
Yeah, I mean, and Mawala just pounds him from Hawthorne, the 215-pound linebacker in there on special teams, really puts a lick on him and just stop forward progress. That's what you have to do. If a guy's faking, don't just put the around and watch for the fake. Let's see if we can't see it again. Like, he's going to come full bore and just come at him before he can even accelerate. So he makes the offensive guy commit, and Mawala pins him beautifully. That's a great form tackle there.
From the 44, they give it to Brown, the tailback. Cracks off the right side to about the 41. And guess what? No penalty on that play.
Well, they're pushing it.
Just short of the 41. The clock is running. 7:45 remaining here in the opening quarter. The Southbay Classic. I'm Mike Kennedy with Chris Ratcliffe. The Warriors lead 7-0 after John Leonard completed a 42-yard touchdown pass to Antonio Chapman. 2nd and 8, 42. Smith to pass in the flat. He completes it, and almost going up the sideline is Anthony Cephas before Foreman knocks him out of bounds, but he slipped that first tackle and had a chance to go for a score. So a big 15-yard mark-off against the Warriors takes the ball to the 20. So 1st and 10 in the red zone for the Corsairs at the El Camino 20-yard line. Pump fake, they set up the screen. He slips the first, and Brown carries back to the line of scrimmage. So the Warrior defense saw that one coming. Greg Merchant making the tackle along with Albion Yee. They expected to get more big yardage as they let the Warrior front four pour right in on Smith, but the linebackers saw the play.
Team for Santa Monica that scores a lot of points. They'll take to the air. They got many different weapons, so the El Camino defense is really going to be tested, and thank God they're fast because they're showing it right now.
Stopped at the 19 for a gain of about a yard. Again, it's Tricky Brown, and it's Ladarius Jackson making the tackle. Well, nice to have two all-conference defensive ends to bookend your defensive line with Grant and Jackson.
Well, it prevents the team from being able to run weak side on you or strong side all night long. Wherever your weakness is, they can't run away from it. They've got to run right into the teeth of your strong defenders. And don't forget, these guys are 260 pounds. Jackson is 6'5", but he's fast, Mike. It's not like he's small, but he's fast.
Dylan Smith, Cephas at the 6. He makes the catch before Foreman and Waller in on the tackle. But with a two-step drop and a quick release, Dylan Smith lives up to all of the rave reviews we've heard about him.
Very accurate, very strong pass. A good quarterback, remember. He'll fire it in there when he needs to, or he'll show beautiful touch when he needs to. And thus far, Smith picking that secondary apart a little bit. I'm surprised that the Corsairs are deciding to run the ball as much as they are, Mike. They've been pretty successful passing it.
Two wide outs, far side. They give it to Brown, big hole. Brown carries to the goal line. He's short by about a yard.
Watch those. So after they pick up the first down,
they give it off inside.
Smith fires this ball almost into triple coverage. There it is, right in between that triangle of Warrior defense. And, that's accuracy, and that's confidence in a quarterback to be able to pick off a receiver there and fire it right in there. Smith now, Mike, 4 for 6 for 27 yards.
Smith on the year, the second-ranked quarterback in the Western States Conference, completing 223 of 390 passes and 25 touchdowns.
It's a lot of completions.
They've got a power set. They give it to Brown. He goes off the left side, and he's in for a touchdown, and it's a 7-6 ball game with 4:56 remaining in the opening quarter.
Well, Mike, you told me before the game the under should be about 80 points. You liked about 35 to 33 football game here, and we are on our way, folks, with not too much time gone in the first quarter. There's still 4:56 remaining because of all the stoppages we've had due to penalties, and we could see a lot of scoring here before this one's done.
Well, Tricky Brown takes it in from a yard out. The kick on the extra point is missed to the left side, and the Warriors hold on to that 1-point lead, 7-6.
Into the trees. Kicked it over there where the Coach Featherstone has watched those trees grow up and bloom, and he's got to be happy about that, hanging on to a lead. 52-yard drive put together by the Corsairs, engineered beautifully by Dylan Smith. Showed us why he's got the kind of numbers he does, Mike. And here we get another look at the touchdown run.
Well, Tricky Smith, over 600 yards rushing this year, puts his head down, powers in for the score. Now, their backup kicker was Scott McGee. He's a wide receiver. He came in and missed the extra point. Dingman is their kicker, so we're not sure why Dingman didn't attempt the point after. But Scott McGee misses, and the Warriors lead 7-6.
Well, El Camino has shown that they can put the ball and be able to pick apart the Corsair defense, and I think that that's what they need to do, Mike. They need to continue to chew up some clock and get first downs, not necessarily go for those long plays, which they're going to be there, but they really need to pick them apart 10, 15 yards a pop and use that running game as an asset to complement and supplement the exploits of John Leonard. And I think if they let him throw today, he could really chew up the Corsair secondary for some big yardage.
So McGee will kick off. Chapman and Reed for the Warriors. Chapman 7, Reed 5. Ball come down to Reed. Takes it at the 14, near side. Gets the block. He's up the sideline. 20, 30. Yeah. Goes out of bounds across the 40 at about the 41.
Some good hitting, some good talking, Mike. Michael Fitzhugh put on a nice lick, but I'll tell you, Rashad Reed didn't back down one little bit. He got his team some good field position. That hinders back to what I said earlier about being able to go for the extra yardage and take a hit. Well, there's the difference. When you see a guy that's poised to be able to take hits all season long, he's worked on it. He's got confidence. He puts his head down and bowls his way forward for an extra 5 yards. Great run back by Reed.
From the 41 near hash mark, Leonard has 2 wideouts to his right. Flowers, the one remaining back. In the flat, it's Reed. He gets a block from his tight end, Drury. Crosses the 45, carries to the 46. And about a 5-yard pickup to bring up a 2nd and 5 for the Warriors.
Let's take another look at this kickoff return. Rashad Reed going to get it, make a good move here. Now, all his blockers are on the left side, so he acts like he's going up the middle, and then he gets right to the outside, which is where most ball carriers feel comfortable. And there's the big hit being put on by Michael Fitzhugh, and it drew all the oohs and ahs from the crowd. The folks still love big hit. No matter what level you go to, everybody gets excited about a hit.
So Reed, who had 44 catches on the year for 6 touchdowns, has a 6-yard gain on his last catch. Now from the 47, Sonny Bird out of Maricosta puts his shoulders down, but he gets dropped by cornerback Johnny Bailey for a loss of a couple back across the 45-yard line.
And you can give that play credit to the defensive tackle, Mark Harkins, for the Corsairs. At 6'4", 290 pounds, the freshman out of East Catholic, Michigan, does a super job because he flattens out the whole line, Mike, and he makes Sonny Bird run parallel to the line of scrimmage rather than vertically running up into it. And a guy like Bird likes to run forward. He's a strong forward runner. It's a guy like Flowers or Rashad Reed that likes to get around the outside.
Omar Sue, all-conference center with the snap. Leonard to pass. They've got a first down. It's Sharon Arnold at the 41. And against Orange Coast, where he saw limited playing time in the first 9 games for the Warriors, he had 3 touchdown receptions of 734 and 39 yards, a total of 188 yards and catches on the afternoon.
And you were teasing Sharon Arnold before the game about what uniform he was going to wear and this and that. He loves that kind of stuff. I mean, he's the kind of guy that's a little bit of a flashy player, and he likes to keep folks guessing. And now it's John Leonard, 4 for 7 for 86 yards. So the watch is on for Leonard. How many he can put up today?
First down at the 41. Reed again in the flat. Another good block by Drury. Reed across the 35 of the Corsairs and down to the 33-yard line. So the Warriors with a nice combination. Fred Peterson, their offensive coordinator, mixing pass and run.
And isn't it so nice to have a tight end that can block? Robert Drury, about 5 yards upfield away from the line of scrimmage. The tight end at 190 pounds. Freshman out of St. Bernard gets up and makes a block and ends up enabling that play to go an extra 10 yards. 5th first down of the game for the Warriors.
Clock is running with 2:45 to go in the first quarter. El Camino 7-6 over Santa Monica. Now they stack the line. Leonard stumbles. Looks over the middle. He's got Arnold for a touchdown. He beats the quarterback and goes in for the score. Back defending, Fitzhugh gets beat by Sharon Arnold, and John Leonard has completed his 2nd touchdown pass of the afternoon.
I think the Warriors like driving this way, and Leonard likes throwing the ball this side of the stadium. Because what great hands by Arnold, Mike. He just picks it out of the air, turns over his shoulder, and that was a bullet fired in there by John Leonard. Oh, a beautiful 1-2 combination for the Warriors gets them their 2nd score.
34-yard catch by Sharon Arnold. That's his 4th touchdown reception on the season. Flynn Turner with the point after. And it's good. El Camino leads 14-6 with 2:31 remaining in the first quarter.
So the Warriors now with successful drives of 80 and 59 yards have proven that they can score at will and move the ball down the field without too much trouble against the Corsair secondary. So this may change Santa Monica's game plan a little bit and just try to have them powering and hanging on to the clock and just powering up as many points as they possibly can during this game. It's obvious now after the missed PAT, they're going to have to go for 2 on their next one of their next touchdowns. And if this continues, if the Warrior defense can't step it up and we see a seesaw back and forth game, we are in for a wild scoreboard total today.
Well, Coach Featherstone knows this is a chance to showcase some of his star players, and one of those is quarterback John Leonard. There are several Pac-10 teams recruiting John, and with 2 touchdown passes here in the first quarter, he's certainly going to have more than several looking at him the rest of his career.
I know, and you hate to lose a freshman. That just kills you, though. But you're talking about a quarterback out of modern day, Mike. Again, they're playing for the finals. He'll be leaving today's game and going there. I mean, this is a powerhouse school, so if you've proven you can play there, you can play just about anywhere.
Smith from about the 13 returns it to the 32, tries to make a cut, slips and goes down. 1st and 10, Santa Monica trailing 14-6, 2:22 to go. They had a nice drive with their last possession. Offensively, they averaged 448 yards, 268 yards passing, and 170 yards rushing. So they, again, have a balanced offense. While the Warrior defense was second in the Mission Conference, giving up just 268 yards per game.
There you see just losing the footwork and just tripping right down was Smith.
Smith with a sprint out. He completes it to the 49-yard line. Michael Payton with the catch. He'll pick up a 1st down. Foreman making the tackle.
Yeah, that's some of their best offensive game plan, Mike, to open up the field. That's exactly what they want to do. And Coach Featherstone on the far side is thinking about how they're going to try to defend this. He'll turn things over to Steve Schmitz, his defensive coordinator. Featherstone just kind of makes on-the-game adjustments now. He's got the offensive coordinator in Fred Peterson and the defensive in Steve Schmitz that he trusts.
Across the 50, 45, it's Antonio Greer, and a late hit for the Warriors is Waller. And Moala take him all the way to the Corsairs bench.
And I'll tell you why that play has a late hit. It's not that the contact was too late, Mike. It's that he actually took him to the ground. Trayvon Waller finished the tackle right in front of the bench, in front of this concrete wall here at Warrior Stadium. So that's why the extra yardage will be tacked on. Again, it's a frustrating penalty because you hate to tell a guy not to finish his tackle because that's what instincts teach you to do. So we'll see if we can't get another look at this one as it's coming back our direction here. Heading our way. Greer cuts and makes a nice move around the outside. Now watch the contact. There it is while he's almost out of bounds. He still had 1 foot in, and there's the late penalty being thrown because they fall all the way over by the bench.
So tack on 15, give him a 1st down at the 26. A costly penalty set up their first score on their last drive. Going for the flag, it's incomplete.
That's a good flag, Mike.
For Eugene Sykes, and it's going to be pass interference against the Warriors. Dante Childress,
and he's going to get
the 5-yard line.
If he keeps showboating, he's going to get some more yardage. I'll tell you why it's a good penalty. Never once did Dante Childress turn his head and play the ball, and then there was contact. That's an easy call for an official, and he's saying, why? Why? Because what I did was not that bad. It doesn't matter. If you're playing the man, you cannot have contact if you're playing the man. You just got to throw your hands up and hope the ball hits you.
So referee Jim Farmer indicates 1st down and a mark-off against the Warriors.
I don't know if we have that one again on tape or not, guys. And now here comes another flag down for trash talking by the Warriors. We'll see if we can get another look at this play.
And they're trying to calm down Ladarius Jackson, all-conference defensive end, and an All-America.
Well, I see El Camino's argument and why they don't want this penalty called because the contact was not that bad. But the rule clearly states if you're going to be playing the man just like they did, you've got to have some kind of look at the ball or you can't face guard because otherwise you could just tackle a guy and just bring him down.
Well, they placed the ball at the 11 with the pass interference, and now the unsportsmanlike penalty against the Warriors is going to put it 1st and goal at the 5-yard line. So back-to-back penalties within the same possession and the same play for Santa Monica have them knocking at the door just inside the 6. They trail 14-6, and we're in the first quarter here from Murdoch Stadium.
Only in the first, and things are wild. And just as good as the El Camino offense has been proficient, the defense has just been sputtering that badly with the penalties and the miscommunications in the backfield.
They send Sykes to the far side, 3 wideouts near side. McGee is in the slot. Slipping, going down, is the quarterback Dylan Smith. He's back at the 5, and he loses about 9 yards.
Yeah, that was a goofy play.
5 yards on the loss.
Looked like there was supposed to be some kind of reverse handoff coming around from the inside, and that play just never developed. Boy, some kind of communication breakdown there. Smith's going to come over and try to straighten it out in front of the bench, but in the meantime, the play clock is running, Mike. They're going to have to run a play here.
We have 1:20 remaining in the first quarter. It did rain last night here in Torrance, and they have done an excellent job to keep the field in perfect shape, but it is a little slick in a couple spots. Smith loses 5 from the 10 out of the shotgun. Brown, 1 remaining back, 2 wideouts left side with Smith and Sykes.
There it is, of course. I mean,
you're going to get a delay of game.
I was just waiting for it. You can't take that much time and come over to the bench between plays, and now he's trying to come over again.
So they found themselves with a 1st and goal after 2 15-yard penalties against the Warriors. Then on back-to-back plays, they've lost 9.5 yards.
Yeah, and just by silly stuff. I mean, nothing El Camino has caused them to do. And, you know, after their fifth first down, Mike, they find themselves back at almost the 15-yard line.
Out of the shotgun. We send 1 man in motion. Throw it in the flat. Flanker screen. Complete it. And Sykes again makes a catch, but only picks up 5 of the 15 they needed.
Right, they don't get enough again. And it comes because of a block by Michael Payton. He's the flanker call. Mike, you picked that up nicely, but they don't get much yardage out of it. And it could end up being a field goal situation here. Key 3rd down now for the Warrior defense. They really need to put up a stand here.
So it is 3rd and goal from about the 11. The Warriors bring in 1 more defensive back. And they drop Ladarius Jackson off the line and put him wide.
Wow.
So they only have really 4 down linemen, but 3 of them with the rush. The pass to the near side. Cephas has it, goes in for the touchdown. He runs right to the goal line, makes a quick out, and there's the ball delivered by Dylan Smith for a score, and it's 14-12. Unless we have a flag, they're going to say he went out of bounds inside the 1. Well, from here, it looked like he had a touchdown.
Well, I think they're going to call timeout now and talk about their fresh set of plays here, Mike. For some reason, they want a timeout, and they want to score on this end zone before the final 4 seconds of the first quarter runs out. So that's strange. So there's the official that made the call right in front. We couldn't see. We're screened out here by that corner with the actual signal, and now it is 4th down, Mike.
Let's take a look again and see if he gets to the end zone. From our view, he cut it up and got in. He tried to put the ball over the cone. He did hit the cone. You could see it move.
It looked like it did. He had the ball in his right hand, and if it was in his left, it would have broken for sure that barrier. But you're right, Mike. Only a portion of that ball needs to, and any contact on that pad over there, you can teach a guy just leap for the pad because any contact on it is supposed to be a score. Let's take another look and see if he does make contact with that cone.
Great camera coverage. Trevon Waller's defending, but he gets beat.
There it is.
Right there. He puts it in, but they're not going to give it to him. You can see the cone just shake a
Well, he reached out with the left hand to touch the cone, and the ball was in the right. So that is just, boy, pick him if you want him. I mean, that's just the official's call. I'm glad. I don't envy that, having to make that call.
Well, we've seen enough second-guessing of the officials in the past 2 weeks in the NFL.
Yeah, they're having trouble with 50-50 stuff. A tough call here to make on a spur-of-the-moment decision. Watch the left hand. It's out in front. And does he touch it? Well, remember, the ball of the nose of the football must break the plane of that goal line. So now we're getting into the geometry, Mike, and I'm completely confused. I didn't do too well at that at school.
Well, my call was for a touchdown, but I guess I overreacted to the official, anticipating the call. They've got a 4th and goal at the 1. They'll give it to Brown. He dives at the stack, hit by Foreman, and this time he's in. So the score stands 14-12. A nice drive for the Corsairs. They're down by 2. As you mentioned earlier, they'll have to go for a 2-point conversion.
Yeah.
But this drive, again, is set up by penalties against the Warriors.
It was, and giving them good field position was a direct result because of those penalties. So they're not even going to bother with the kicking unit now. They're telling everyone, stay in, but they don't want to have to burn another timeout here, Mike. They're going to go huddle. Remember, the ball's been spotted. 30-second play clock is down to about 21 right now, and so it's Brown with 6 carries for 2 TDs. But in the meantime, there's confusion. Here comes another guy shuffling in late. There we see the big hit at the goal line. But right now, some real confusion, and they have to call timeout.
So Santa Monica takes another one of those valuable timeouts. There's only 1 second left here in the first quarter as El Tricky Brown takes it in from a yard out, brings Santa Monica within 2, and they're going to go for a 2-point conversion, but they just didn't have the right combination in their offensive backfield.
And how great a name is that, by the way, for a running back? El Tricky Brown. It sounds a little bit of a Spanish prankster, doesn't it?
Well, that's Brown's second score of the afternoon. Scored the first touchdown with 4:56 to go on a 1-yard dive, and now this is his second. So
Well,
it's 14-12, 1 second remaining here in the quarter.
you want to make sure you're on the same page there, because if you have any problems and you run the wrong play, that's disastrous. It's okay to have too much time run out in this situation, because then you kick it after the ball's been backed up 5 yards. So, I mean, it's just real easy to do that. There's the officials. Now look over here to the dark side of the field. That is the damp part back down in the end zone right there. And we get a look all the way out to the tunnel. That's where the wind does not blow through there. Our flags are completely still at that point run up off there, but the trees have been blowing at the top of the stadium. Here we go, Mike.
So they'll go for 2. They shift. They send 6 players to the left side. They have 4 at the line of scrimmage. This really will confuse the Warriors. And here comes Grant. Here comes Jackson. They throw. They complete it to Cephas. And if I'm Coach Featherstone, I want him to take a second look at that and see if that's a legal formation. And he comes all the way onto the field. He's at the 20-yard line. He's down to the 15. He's talking to his defense, but he's also going to put in a word to the officials, because they had 4 at the line of scrimmage where the ball was being snapped.
That's right.
And they sent 5 more out on the left side.
And they went with a down lineman out there as well. So unbelievable. Southbay now with 3 receptions for 18 yards. So add to his totals, and all of a sudden we've got a tie game. All they wanted to do was cause some confusion here, Mike. There's the 2 linemen that are down in front. Now, if they're not down linemen that's set up, that's an illegal formation. You're right. There's, oh, boy. We've
Number
got it on
70,
tape.
the offensive tackle, is down at the goal line, and he's ineligible receiver downfield.
Exactly right. But
Well, they get the 2-point conversion. We're still in the first quarter. We have 1 second remaining after all of that confusion, timeouts, and penalties. We've got a tie ball game. You're watching the Southbay Classic, and it is a classic so far. 14-14 in the opening quarter. McGee will launch the kickoff. It's Reed from the 10, almost puts a knee down, and the referee, Jim Farmer, is going to rule him down at the 11, while the back judge to the near side, who is Larry Wilson, did not call him down. So time will run out. That's the end of the first quarter. We're coming back with an exciting second quarter here from El Camino. We're tied 14-14. You're watching Warrior Football on TCTV. Welcome back to the Southbay Classic. I'm Mike Kennedy with Chris Ratcliffe. You're watching Warrior Football on TCTV as we start the second quarter. Leonard looking for Reed, incomplete at the 37. Well, we previewed the game, Chris, by talking about how both of these teams have great offenses and just better than average defenses. We've seen everything in our first 15 minutes.
yeah, and it's been mainly because of John Leonard and Dylan Smith that we got 14 points on the board. These 2 guys have done a nice job, but El Camino, to be honest with you, could have done a few things to stop the Corsairs defensively. They could have drawn it up a little better, and they're going to need to do that during the remainder of this football game if they're going to come away victorious, or they're just going to try to flat out outscore them. But to do that, you've got to have 1 more possession.
The Warriors from the 11. Inside handoff. Flowers fumbles it. The ball is going to be loose and recovered by Santa Monica at the 6-yard line. Coming up with it is Julian Mims, first team all-conference. And Flowers, with nobody around him, just juggled. It dropped to the ground, and he wasn't able to dive back in time. Mims has the recovery, and great field position at the Warriors 7.
Boy, again, El Camino has not been able to let the Corsairs start on their own side of the field. The Warriors have just given them too much good field position, and their own offenses had to work way too hard. That does not help things. Mims, a 6'2", 240-pound freshman linebacker out of San Diego. Boy, an awesome player this year to be all-conference. Super job. He's coming back.
So the offense back in for Santa Monica. Sprint out right side. The pass incomplete, intended for Cephas, who was alone in the back of the end zone, and Smith just overthrows him. And as we've seen, he has an excellent touch out of the pocket.
Right, I mean,
one he just missed.
Don't forget, he's out of the pocket up on 1 toe and up on 1 foot and balancing and throwing that nice and over the top. So he had a real good look at that one. That's the only reason I suppose it sailed and got away from Cephas, because that had 6 points written all over it.
So a great core of wideouts with Sykes, Cephas, and Smith. Dylan Smith, the quarterback, strong left side. Gives it to Brown to the 5. Dives forward to the Warriors' 3-yard line.
Flag.
Albie and Yee making the tackle along with Ladarius Jackson, but a flag comes in late. And in the first quarter, the Warriors' penalties killed them.
Yes, they sure did. And Dylan Smith now 7 for 11 for 63 yards. So even though Leonard's outpassing him by double, it's going to come back this time against the Corsair. So both teams have really been highly penalized throughout this first quarter. So you would expect with both teams with a week off, here come limping off the field right now is Tricky Brown's out.
He already has 2 touchdowns on the afternoon. And the Santa Monica coaches next to our broadcast position, when they saw the indication was a personal foul, just bellowed out into their headset.
Yeah, they're not happy because remember, if another team's going to give you something, you don't want to go down to their level and start giving it right back. So even though it's an emotional game, the more headstrong team is going to come away with a severe advantage.
So after a gain to the 3-yard line, a 15-yard penalty takes it back to the 18 and gives the Warrior defense some breathing room. Smith brings them to the line of scrimmage. Spencer is the center. Smith scrambling. 10 and goes out of bounds at the 9, chased out by Trevon Waller. Discretion, the better part of valor. He heads for the sideline.
Well, we've seen him do that before. On 4th down, now they're going to try to kick a field goal, and we'll give them the lead. So it is a kind of a plus for the El Camino defense to come away with only giving up 3 points after spotting them such good field position following the turnover.
Again, it's McGee attempting a 27-yard field goal. From the right hash mark, a low kick. It sails through the uprights just inside the near corner. And the official down on the left side of our picture, he ducked.
Mike, that's the first time.
Back out of the way and thought it was going to hit him, and it goes in right over his shoulder in the corner of the goalpost.
That's about the funniest thing in the world. How can an official wait to see if a field goal is going to be good and be ducking at the same time? That's how close that one was to either going up or going down. I mean, that ball, when it crossed the goal line from 10 yards away from the crossbar, could have gone either direction. Could have gone straight to the ground and hit the official, or it could have sailed even higher. It does. It goes up and it's through, and it's a small 3-point lead now for the Corsairs, but they've got their first lead, and they're feeling much better about things because their defense has come up with a turnover, and their offense has been able to convert on their first 3 possessions.
27-yard field goal as a result of a Warrior turnover gives Santa Monica a 17-14 lead with 13:56 left here in the half. And we thought the first quarter we'd seen everything. Well, there's a new trick on every play in this game.
You're not kidding. On all the bowl games for importance out there today, this one is the most fun to watch as far as just letting guys just play.
Rashad Reed from the 15, 25, 30. Dragged down from behind. Making the tackle is Michael Payton. He was the last remaining Corsair. Otherwise, it was just Reed and the green turf and maybe the punter to track him down. So a nice return to the 37. He gets a 27-yard pickup.
Michael Payton, the victim of a nice stiff arm by Reed. He really reached out and hammered it. Payton, just bowled past him to pick up an extra 5 yards. You talk about kicker size, Mike, very unusual. For McGee, he's 6'3", 190 pounds. So maybe if he was 6 foot tall even, that kick might not have gone through. He needed every inch of centrifugal force to get that ball up and over.
Down by 3. Leonard fakes the play action. Scrambles. Is under pressure. He escapes. He floats it. It's incomplete. Intended for Antonio Chapman. I think when he had open room, he could have probably taken a little bit more time to unload that and let some space open up between the defensive back and Antonio Chapman. But after he got rid of that initial swarm, he had plenty of time to pass.
Well, can you believe how smooth and under control is the word I'm looking for John Leonard? He never panics. He runs into his own guy and runs right up the back of Tuitama Nofiali, who's 6'6", 282. That's an easy guy to get lost behind. You can't see. No, Leonard never panics, Mike. He still works his way around and had a really good chance of completing that pass to Chapman.
Chapman near side, Reed in the slot. Bird, the one remaining back. Leonard to the far side and center for Sharon Arnold. who has a touchdown catch this afternoon. That's incomplete. Brings up 3rd and 10 for the Warriors back at their own 37.
Well, the problem was Arnold and Reed were side by each. Remember, that's a bad thing when you're talking about pass routes. That means miscommunication. Somebody was supposed to zig and somebody else was supposed to zag. They both turned into each other that time. And although Chapman tried to recover and reach out to or Arnold rather tried to recover and reach out to that ball, there was no way he was going to get to it.
So Arnold goes out. Gavin Kralik, number 89, comes in. Kralik will be far to the left side. Ball's at the 37. 3rd and 10 Warriors. Campbell, tight end, on the right side. And to the near side split, Antonio Chetman. Leonard out of the shotgun. Under pressure. He gets dropped. And a big defensive right tackle. Jabari Hendricks with the stop. Hendricks, an All-America, all Western states, just ran right over the El Camino offensive blockers. And Leonard limps off.
Yeah. Oh, you know, you could tell why. 6'4", 280-pound right there landing on you from Hendricks, and then the offensive lineman as well. So that was 600-plus pounds landing on Leonard, and that was my first concern, Mike, is that he could be hurt. I mean, that's a lot of beef to land on you.
Kevin Cooper is the backup quarterback for Maricosta for the Warriors. We'll see what the situation is with John Leonard on the next possession. Flynn Turner from the 15 doesn't get any pressure and kicks it away from the return man.
Did he touch it?
Sykes sees it skip through his legs and rolls dead. The Warriors are going to pick it up and try and run it in.
That's exactly how you're taught.
Moala said, I'm not going to take a chance, but as soon as he picked up the ball, they blow the whistle. That was a close call, but it'll be 1st and 10 Santa Monica at their own 24.
Well, finally, the Corsairs will be forced to start with rather poor field position, but it could be a lot worse. I mean, they're still out across the 20-yard line, so if they continue to move the ball, they've got a chance to go up a 2-score lead here against the Warriors.
With no huddle from the 24, 3 wideouts right side.
Confusion.
Play action. They bring it back. Sykes makes the catch at the 22, driven to the turf by Moala.
Moala again, nice. Let's see if he can. Well, he attempted to just at the last second aborts, and if that touches the back foot, might look like the football changed direction.
Looked like it got a piece of his heel.
If it did, that's just what the Warrior special teams is taught. Wait for the ball to stop, then pick it up and run it. And that's how you want to do it.
From the 24, Smith again, slant pattern. That one's incomplete. And it's intended for his favorite receiver, Eugene Sykes. Sykes, 75 catches on the season. There's that replay again of the punt. And Tavita Moala is right there to recover it for the Warriors, but it goes for naught. Now with a 3rd and 10. We have 12 minutes remaining in the first half. The Warriors trailing Santa Monica 17-14 in the first annual, we hope. Southbay Classic. Smith under pressure. Grant tries to get him from behind.
That's offensive.
The pass for Cephas incomplete. Both the defender and the receiver out of bounds on the chalk mark across the way in front of the Warrior bench.
Off of the truck, please. That should have been offensive pass interference, Mike, because he reached back and shoved his own guy away. Now they're ruling it an uncatchable ball, and it was out of bounds, but El Camino could have lost it down on that one or something. It could have been better yardage for the Warriors. So Corsairs, nevertheless, it's a good defensive stand.
Stand for the Warriors. Clayton to punt. Takes Barnes back to the 36. They'll wrap him up. He returns it only to the 39-yard line. There's a flag back at the 25 in front of the Santa Monica bench.
Could be an offsides against the illegal procedure against the Corsairs.
Penalty preliminary indication is against Santa Monica.
Well, there's a flag on both sides, Mike, right near the 20s on both. So they're going to move the chains. They're going to set the down marker. It'll be Warrior ball, but I don't know if they'll tack on any extra yardage for El Camino or not.
So the Warriors offense still on the far sideline, and they're going to give it first down, El Camino at the 39.
Hey, how about that first down signal, though, by our head official there? That's a great job. That's a la Red Cashin right there. He gives it the big windup, and the arm goes. I mean, he must have been a javelin thrower or something in college, because that's just wonderful technique there.
Out of a worn-out quarterback.
Still living the dream, Mike. He's out here on a Saturday afternoon living the dream.
Well, the Mission Conference, one of the strongest In community college football, as we see the return by Barnes, penalties, they just pick up the flag. Pitch goes to Flowers. Flowers slips, goes down at the 36. But as we look at this Warrior schedule and the teams they faced all year, I mean, Long Beach City College going for a national championship. They're a conference team, and El Camino lost to them 35-20. Palomar came in here. The Warriors handled Palomar. Right. Mount Sac defeated El Camino. Cerritos defeated El Camino in the closing seconds. So it's one of the strongest conferences in the country.
And Palomar's only defeat came at the hands of El Camino. So, I mean, they did fine in the Northern Division of the Mission Conference.
Here's Flowers, delay handoff, gets to the outside. Piggyback. Driven out of bounds at the 43-yard line. John Leonard is back in. The last possession, he was nailed by a loss by Jabari Hendricks and limped off, but they've checked his leg, and he's returned to lead the Warrior offense.
But Johnny Bailey just went for a ride right there. Number 4 in the middle of your screen. Let's see if we can get another look at this one, guys. This is really funny. He just gets up and goes right on the back of Flowers, who's got 6 carries now for 38 yards.
At the 42-yard line. I guess we don't have it, but Arnold to the far side. Chapman near side. Omar Souf, the center for the Warriors. All Mission Conference first team. Quick stop. Look to the near side. And Leonard, the misfires. Chapman looked like maybe he ran the wrong pattern as he did a turnaround button hook, went to the inside. The pass was to the near side and incomplete at the 50.
Well, they're trying to get it to him in the flat. So, again, they're trying to exploit the one-on-one coverage. It just doesn't happen. And now both teams, Mike, after getting their offensive games just steamrolling along, sputter here in the second quarter. And the Warriors will have to cut a punt on their first possession. And the last 4 passes for Leonard have been incomplete, Mike. So all of a sudden he's hit the wall.
The Southbay Classic put together in about 14 days by Athletic Director Dave Shannon, head coach John Featherstone. The Warriors looking for their 3rd straight bowl win, and they have won 10 of 14 bowl games in their history. Flynn Turner with the kick. Hits at the 25. Sykes lets it roll, and the Warriors will down it at the 13, 14, at the 14-yard line.
All right, it's time for our trivia question. There it is. Who holds the El Camino College record for the most tackles in a career? We'll give you a hint, folks. It took place in the 90s. It is a rather recent record, so it's going to take all of your El Camino trivia to come up with the answer for that one. He's still active, and we're going to get you that answer shortly.
We never did get to check to see if Mawala or Jackson or Grant were close to any of these records.
No, we're thinking that they are in the running, so that could change as early as next year's bowl game, Mike, when we're back here to do it again.
From the 15, 1st and 10, Smith scrambling, tucks it away, slips, puts his hand down, and carries to about the 18-yard line.
Smith again with good size for a ball carrier, Mike. He's 6'1", 185 out of University High School. These are the areas right around where Coach Taylor has to recruit from. He doesn't have much because when he comes down here in the South Bay, he's competing against El Camino. When he goes to the Valley, it's Mission out there in LA Valley, so he loses a lot of players. He's got a very select little area that he can choose from. Smith now with 4 carries for 12 yards on the day.
Matt DePola, 290 pounds, tackles him from behind. Here's Brown, carries to the 23, short of the first down. Ladarius Jackson with the tackle, gets an assist from Albion Yee. And the Warrior Band across the way.
So you've got Santa Monica High School with nearly 3,000 students who haven't won a football game in 2 years to recruit from. You've got University, that's a small school. You've got Venice, another one. You've got Crossroads, a private school, which is very small. And then you talk about 8-man football out of St. Monica High School. So the area that he has directly to choose from and recruit is just amazing. He's got to go all over the place to get players.
Grant jumps off sides, gets back. Missed the pass near hash mark. Completes it to Eugene Sykes. He's got a first down at the Santa Monica 28. They'll move the chains. So both quarterbacks very impressive this afternoon. We've got a 17-14 Santa Monica lead here in the Southbay Classic.
7 first downs now on the game for the Santa Monica Corsairs. So they have been able to move the ball at will on offense. It's the Warrior defense that's going to need to come up with a turnover before it's all said and done, Mike.
Payton to the near side. Pressure on Smith.
Oh, boy.
Wallace grabs him. He spins him around, and Smith just fires it to the near sideline, trying to avoid a sack at the 10. But Tavita Mawala came blitzing, grabbed Smith, and Smith just fired it out of bounds.
Well, it looked like the pass was intended for the training table right over here on the near sideline, which was open, by the way, Mike. So I saw a face mask perhaps on that tackle. That might have been why he threw the ball away, just thinking that he was grabbed. So a really weird play here. We're going to wait for the call because it surely appeared to be an intentional grounding. But that may not be the call. We'll just wait and see as the Corsairs continue to shuffle players in and out of the lineup.
9:02 to go in the first half. 17-14 Santa Monica leading El Camino. Coach Featherstone should be wearing a ball cap or get some shades on him today.
He's got to look cool over there. When you're a head coach, you got to look big league, but that's not Featherstone's personality. There it is, the intentional grounding call.
To avoid the sack, as Dylan Smith unloads it. It's one of his better throws of the afternoon.
Hey, it was a frozen rope. Nice tight spiral. And a gal over by the training table. She was wide open. But I wasn't able to see if she came up with it or not. Yeah,
Ball's at the 9-yard line.
Coach Featherstone, Mike, what you see is what you get with that guy. He's not going to worry about how he's looking over there on the sideline. He's concerned with how to win this thing.
Brown the deep back. Smith the pass out of the end zone, chased by Jackson and Grant. Throws to midfield. There's Waller, the defender, against Cephas as they push and shove at the 50. The flag goes down on the incompletion and definitely looks like an offensive to make that defensive interference against the Warriors.
Well, Mike, that's one of those situations, the age-old philosophical question. If you're out in the middle of nowhere and you're facing a red light, there's nobody around, do you go? No, because there could be a police officer watching, and that's exactly what happened on this play. They had the hidden radar. You couldn't miss it. We had the camera focused on it. Everybody's right there. They may not call a pass interference. They may call a hold on this, which would really help El Camino, but if they call the pass interference, why, it's going to be a big gainer for the Corsairs.
Well, the play was set up by the great pressure by those bookends.
Right.
And Smith had a receiver deep. Cephas at the 50. Here's the holding call. Is going to be back against Santa Monica. And now we've got offsetting calls as the Warriors guilty.
That's amazing.
The same call.
And Coach Taylor's coming out of the field, Mike. He's out here on the 30 without calling a timeout. He is right in front of the 30-yard line, a good 12 yards out onto the field. He's going nuts. He can't believe this call because there he is. Look at him. He's tracking folks. I mean, he's ready to hit somebody. Get that guy a helmet. He's ready to go. He's down by the 20. He could go all the way, Mike. Is he going to go to the 15?
So Jim Farmer, the referee, brings it back to the 9-yard line. Clock is stopped with 8:52 to go, and Robert Taylor is way out of the player's box, which is at the 30. He's all the way down to the 20. From the 9. Inside handoff. Grant makes the stop at the 10. He rolls over Brown, and Brown picks up 1 yard.
Well, with the busted play the last time, that enabled those two guys playing receiver and DB to just lock up. And there's something going on between those two. They've got their own little game going, Mike, with trash talking as far as grabbing each other. And that's why for the reason for the offsetting penalty calls. Because when everybody picked up and looked at the action, it was very clear that there was an El Camino hold being put on. But apparently the officials on top of the entire play saw the whole thing, and they're going to call offsetting penalties.
So on 4th down, let's see. They can't be going for it. The Chains have 3rd down while the scoreboard has 4th down. Because of the penalty, I think the scoreboard's a bit confused. So it's 3rd and still 23 from the 10. The slip by Smith. He's going to run. He jukes the first man, Moala, and runs out of bounds right in front of Dante Childress, who was going to take a shot at him, but let him go out of bounds, avoiding a penalty.
Smartest play of the day, Mike. I mean, you got to let him go out. They got 15, 20 yards to go still for a first down. You let him march right out of bounds. There you are, sir. Punt the ball back to us.
So a 6-yard pickup to the 15, and it brings in the punting team. Keldon will punt, standing at the 2. Good pressure. They block it. The ball goes into the end zone. It's going to be recovered and knocked out of the end zone by Santa Monica for a safety for the Warriors. There were 5 Warriors diving for that loose ball in the scramble. The Warriors could have come up with a touchdown except for the punter, Kenlin, knocking it out of bounds, and a safety that brings the score to Santa Monica 17-16.
Very hard to see who got it, Mike. Ladarius Jackson's walking off the field, pounding his chest like he was the man who made the block. Could have been, but we know one thing, that offensive line just collapsed, and there's inside the huddle. There you see some frustrated people for the Corsairs. Don't forget, they're leading this football game by a point. So, I mean, as far as they need to keep their composure as far as things are concerned and look at the long view, because now the 2 points goes back to the Warriors, and we've got ourselves a nice one-point ball game, but they've still got a lead, so they've got to regain that composure and try to score again. We'll see if we can't see who blocked it. Well, here's the end of the play where the ball gets knocked out of bounds for the safety. Either way, it was going to go that way for Camino unless they'd have fallen on it. So it's probably a good decision to kick it through the back of the end zone.
So the Warriors put on a block punt. They pour in, block it, and then it bounds to the near corner in the shade of the end zone where the punter knocks it out of bounds. First he tried to dive on it, then he said, there's no way I'm going to let this thing pop out, so he knocked it out of the end zone.
Yeah, a good decision. That was a good punt.
Sheldon will put it in play. Taken by Reed at the 30, 40 at midfield. Avoids two other tacklers, carries back to the Santa Monica 49.
Well, it was a great punt. Mike gets all the way to the 30, but he brings it out to the 49 for a nice 19-yard gainer. Reed doing some good work today on special teams.
So about a 65-yard punt and a nice return for the Warriors with a 21-yard return. And we've got a timeout on the field, or they're just asking the Warriors to back up away from the far sideline. The officials have done a good job to keep things under control considering the circumstances.
Right, and don't forget now, these are the officials that they got. Well, here we see the replay of the punt. These are the officials, Mike, that they got short notice. These are guys that weren't going to be working this weekend, so they appreciate the efforts today by those men out there in black and white. And Reed showing off some good moves there. So how does he stay on his feet? He avoids the tackle right there of number 88, Marvin Davis.
Leonard completes it to Reed, and Reed, he's going to go to the 10, 5, and touchdown for the Warriors. So the Warriors, within 30 seconds, have a safety and now a touchdown, an 8-point pickup, and lead 22-17.
8 points in what, about 8 seconds? That's not bad.
They got the safety at the 7:50 mark. They had the kickoff return, and we've got 7:27 remaining. So within 30 seconds, man, they pick up a safety and a touchdown. Now they'll go for the conversion, and the question is, does Coach Featherstone want to go for two?
Well, with Rashad Reed's numbers growing, he's got 4 receptions for 74 yards. Now, that, guess what, Mike? Just keep tacking him on for Leonard. There's the replay. Once he gets an open field, it's breakaway speed time, and he's gone. I mean, nobody to catch him. We've seen how quickly Rashad Reed can move with the football, and he does it again.
49-yard touchdown pass for John Leonard to Rashad Reed, and the Warriors take a lead. And as they line up for the two-point conversion, a delay of game is called against El Camino. So John Leonard with his third touchdown pass of the afternoon.
And are you ready for Leonard's numbers, Mike? 7 for 14, so that's 50%, but he's got 175 yards already and 3 TDs. He is on his way. I mean, he's going after Sarkisian's total game mark of 645 in one game. He's got a long way to go, but with 7 minutes to go before the end of the first half, he's not out of the running. If he can get up to 200 or 250 yards, he could have a big second half and make a run at that mark.
Well, he's got 26 touchdown passes on the season. Freshman out of Mater Dei gives the Warriors the lead. With pressure, Leonard goes down. It's Julian Mims with a blitz.
Yeah, Mims is a problem. The Warrior offensive line, I mean, who's going to pick him up? Somebody's got to pick him up and check him off, and they've got that goal line unit in there that's not used to working together, so Mims is the guy that sneaks through. And, I mean, there you see he's got the shaved head for today, looking mean, all ready to go, and he is an explosive linebacker.
So the Warriors get a safety, run the return back as they get the second possession. After the safety, then they score on a big 49-yard touchdown pass, and they go from trailing 17-14 to leading 22-17 in just 30 seconds.
In all a matter of 30 seconds. Sims now with 2 sacks on the day, so he's been the guy that Leonard has not been happy to see coming charging through that line. Coach Featherstone still out hollering at the official. He wants some kind of penalty on the far side. He's not been happy with the recent calls or no calls lately, and the official's got his hands out to his side saying, I don't understand what's going on, and there's still John. I mean, they're going at it good over there.
Flynn Turner's seeing a lot of play time this afternoon. He takes it to the 5-yard line. It's Smith, the 20, 25.
Oh, boy.
Spin him around at the 35, and the special teams lucky they had one remaining defender as Sean Fort makes the tackle. Otherwise, it was Flynn Turner, the kicker, and the runner.
And Dante Gamble doing a nice job, Mike. He comes in on the special teams. He's a freshman out of Centennial, only 155 pounds. He was the last guy there that actually tripped him up, so that was a great job. There you get a good look at our field right now, Mike. The shadows create a very difficult shot for our cameras because the iris is opening and closing, so these white uniforms might look dirtier than normal.
Smith with the handoff to Brown. Brown picks up about 1.5 yards.
Here comes the kickoff replay. Returned by Sykes. And he almost slips, as we saw happen earlier for the Warriors. He does stay on his feet this time. So a little bit of mud on that field, Mike, but not too much moisture. It's not too bad. The players weren't complaining. And there's, right there, Dante jumping in. Dante Gamble just finishing the tackle.
From the 37, after a 1-yard pickup, they replace Smith. They have a backup quarterback in to run it. It's Sal Castaneda. So Castaneda, seeing his first action this afternoon, he is listed as a linebacker. So we're going to have to check to find out who ran the offense on that play.
And why? Because he comes back out.
Smith goes back into the lineup.
Yeah, so that was kind of goofy there.
And they lose about 1.5 yards, and the ball is back at the original line of scrimmage, the 35-yard line.
What do they call that in science class? The hypothesis that it didn't work?
Smith, quick drop, throws in the flat on the far side, intended for Cephas incomplete, and it brings up 3rd and 10 at the 35.
So again, the Corsairs will have to punt. And the Warriors now with another good chance of getting a drive together with 6 minutes remaining in the half. Got plenty of time to come back and take themselves a 2-score lead. So we have seen a seesaw game to this point.
Kelladon to punt. He had his last one blocked. They almost got a hand on this one. Sam Tolola with a strong rush. Here's Eric Barnes from the 27. Tries to get to the pick on the far side and is finally forced out of bounds at about the 33-yard line.
And there's just nowhere to go.
And there's no flag.
And there is no flags. What do you know? We got a clean play under the belt. John Leonard and company will begin their next drive. He's looking to put him down again. He got to go 70. We'll give him 68 yards this time for pay dirt.
5:54 to go. An exciting first half. The Southbay Classic. El Camino hosting Santa Monica. The Warriors 7-3. Santa Monica 6-4. El Camino leading 22-17. I'm Mike Kennedy with Chris Ratcliffe. Leonard from the far hash mark. He's got the tight end Drury open at the 40, 30, 20, a race to the 10, and finally forced out of bounds at the 10.
Oh, and it's about time they reward the tight ends, Mike. Look at Drury. He's the happiest guy in the park. What a super job and a great call because he's been used exclusively today for blocking, and it's so nice whenever you call a tight end's number and he comes up with a big catch. Delighted to see it.
So a 59-yard pickup. They'll place it with Drury driven out of bounds at the 9-yard line by Androach, saving the touchdown.
And from our perspective, Mike, up nice and high, you can just see how Leonard is doing a great job of picking apart that secondary. He is really reading well and throwing well today.
Well, this is his best game of the year, and he's had some good ones. Sprint out Leonard, chased by Hendricks. Hendricks has him at the 20, wraps him up, and the flag goes down. He may have made initial contact with the face man because Jim Farmer, the referee, put the flag right there onto the ground.
Very possible. Leonard now 8 for 15, 234 yards, so he is rapidly sneaking up there in yardage.
Add to that 3 touchdowns.
Yes, you can.
And he doesn't have a favorite receiver. I mean, he's gone to Chapman for 42, Arnold for 34, and Reed for 49.
Yep.
3 big scores.
And then now the big tight end coming up with some big catches. Drury with a long yardage catch. So it is the face mask penalty against the Corsairs, and very frustrating for them, for the defense, because all you're trying to do as a lineman is bring the guy down, and you accidentally get your paw up there in Leonard's face, and you get hit with a penalty.
So Jabari Jackson had him sacked back. Hendricks had him sacked at the 20-yard line. But the face mask penalty gives the Warriors a 1st and goal from the 5. Pitch out to Flowers.
Oh, there's the block.
Dips in, goes to the outside, into the corner of the end zone. And the Warriors lead 28-17 with a big second quarter here at Murdoch Stadium.
And that play was all Charles Allen, Mike. He got out and pulled 6'7", 290-pounder, number 72, a sophomore out of Hawthorne High School. He created the block. Beautiful read by the ball carrier. Could have gone left, could have gone right behind the block of Allen, and it worked out wonderfully. And the Warriors now jump out to a comfortable lead, but nothing guaranteed as we've seen so far in this game.
Flowers with 21 touchdowns on the year, 19 of those rushing. This continues to add to his totals. He's a second-team All-America running back. Cooper to hold. Flynn Turner kicks a low line drive extra point, and that is the second one. He slips on the turf that has some loose footing. He advised me of that earlier during some pregame warm-ups. He said that even though the field looks like it's in good condition, there are spots where I'm kicking from where it definitely doesn't have a lot of the foothold.
Well, the official didn't have to duck that time, so that is the parameter, I guess, which all could be gauged against. And Delvon Flowers now putting up some great numbers in this game, Mike. 7 carries, 42 yards, and a TD. So he's on his way back. It's nice to see because he did sputter coming down the stretch. And that was a 68-yard drive put together for the Warriors. So all of their scores today have been hard-earned. They've come together and put some nice drives, as well as the defense coming up with the safety.
So at the end of one, we were tied 14-14. But a 15-point explosion in the second quarter, including Del Flowers dipping to the inside and then trotting in for the touchdown. He gets the ball punched out as he crosses the goal line. Here's a squib kick by Flynn Turner going out of bounds at the 23. But 15 points in this quarter, and the Warriors lead by 12.
Well, Allen, absolutely, with a 100-pound weight advantage. I mean, he could have gone left or right on the poor defensive back, called upon to come forward on that one. And 261 total yards now for the Warriors have really got their offense going. They're almost double of the Corsair's yardage, but this game is by no means out of reach. So I expect Santa Monica to right the ship and try to come back with a score here and get right back in this thing.
Well, the kickoff goes out of bounds. Penalties against the Warriors. They're going to kick it again for Del Flowers. Over 1,000 yards rushing this year. Averages 110 yards per game. Had 18 rushing touchdowns. His long run on the season was 84 yards against Saddleback early in the year.
Right.
And overall, with 21 touchdowns,
getting very hard to see right now. That shadow that you see right there is actually coming from the light tower through the sun. The sun is now at our back, so it's getting very hard to see on the field. Mike, it could factor into the defensive backs because they could have a hard time of picking up the ball off of the arms of Leonard or Smith.
Well, with a 1:30 kickoff, I'm sure later in the afternoon, we certainly probably will have these lights turned on here at Murdoch Stadium. But it's a beautiful, clear, crisp day at Murdoch Stadium in Torrance for the first Southbay Classic, featuring the El Camino College Warriors hosting Santa Monica. It's hard to believe that El Camino was left out of the bowl picture in the community college level.
It really is.
The three teams that they lost to were all in close contests and the strongest conference in the country. Smith has it deflected by Foreman. A late flag comes in. There was pressure by Sean Ain on Dylan Smith, the Santa Monica quarterback, and he drilled it at midfield. There was a collision. The ball popped out, and a late flag.
Yeah, apparently going to be some kind of pass interference penalty. And again, the penalty bug biting. There you see the great first down call again. There's my man. You get the penalty bug biting the Warriors thus far in this football game. So there it is. And there's going to be another hold. And remember, you can step in front as they run into each other, but you can't have that contact over the middle, any shirt grabbing or any hand clawing, because it's going to go against the defense almost every time, unless the Warriors catch a break like they did earlier, where you have offsetting penalties.
Cease Osman defending, gets an interference call at midfield, and they jump. So they pick up the first down at the 50, and again, more flags.
There's going to be a procedure. So they pick up a first down, Mike, and then turn around and make a mistake like that so the first down doesn't go away, but now they got to go 15 yards for another one.
And a Coach Featherstone across the way
He needs a sombrero
uses
now.
his headset to block the sun. There's a four-man rush. Completes it. Sykes to the 45. Dives forward. Finally brought down by Greg Merchant at the 43-yard line. Again, the Warrior defense of Grant Childress, Mawala, Waller, McCullough, Barnes, Howe, Yee, Merchant, Taloa, and Lopes, along with Matt Topola. At the 43.
Sykes a good receiver. We like him. 5'9", 180-pound sophomore out of Locke High School. Very skilled athlete.
Blitz from the 43. They give it to Greer. Oh, Greer gets a block as Smith comes up and tries to pop boot Mesa. Right. And Mesa runs at 246 pounds. The tackle is made at the 43. No gain, but there's a late flag.
Well, Boots Mesa there, he gets hit, but he recovers well because he's so big. Sykes now with 5 receptions for 37 yards, but one flag was early, Mike, and one was late, so we'll see if they're both the same. There's the no, so you got 2 different flags. And they end up offsetting each other. This has become the flag bowl rapidly.
4:13 to go in the half. 29-17. Warriors lead Santa Monica. They'll start the clock. Offsetting penalties.
So we had an illegal block, and then we had a face mask, and pretty soon we'll have to turn the lights on.
Second and 3 from the 43. At the 4-minute mark, backs out of the eye, near side. Smith, incomplete, intended for Stevan Smith, the second leading receiver on the club with 54 catches, an all-Western States wideout.
Yeah, Smith to Smith has been a popular combination this year for Coach Taylor's Corsair. The problem is, or what I like about Dylan Smith, the quarterback, is he throws a lot of balls that are uninterceptable. Mike, again, it's one of those that he's got such good touch that there's no way that pass is going to be picked off, but they need to convert a few of these and get their offense back rolling again. Smith's numbers falling a little bit now. He's 10 for 19 for 83 yards. So he's got nothing on Leonard, but he needs to get his team another score.
Greer, the one remaining back, 2 wideouts near side with Sykes and Smith. They have the completion to Eugene Sykes. He's got a first down at the Warrior 35-yard line.
And that's the key, the first down. Get those chains moving if you're the Corsairs and get back into this football game. Chew up some clock so the Warriors can't score again before the half is out, and try to get yourselves a score.
Warriors leading by 12 after scoring 15 unanswered points in the second quarter. And it's been the defense for the Warriors putting the clamps on Smith here in the second quarter.
And folks, stand by for that trivia question answer. We'll have that shortly before the half.
Greer, initial hit by Sean Ains, slips to the outside, gets yardage to the 42 for a 1-yard pickup. Tavita Mawala with the tackle.
A little bit more jaw-jacking down there and pushing and shoving, but it's going to be a slight loss, it looks like, on the play. And there's our answer to the trivia question, Mike. Chris Ellison had 209 tackles in the 1994 through 1995 seasons, but more great news out of Chris. The gentleman out of Culver City High School is the defensive back that went to BYU, and we just understood and learned from Coach Featherstone he was named All-WAC. So he had a wonderful 1998 at BYU this year.
Smith the pass with a quick pass. The ball is picked off. The Warriors are going to have it with an interception going to Foreman. Or Osman. Well, the Osman said he has it. The receiver, Greer, was hit. The ball came loose. The Warriors say it didn't hit the ground, and that they have possession. Now, with a late whistle, they're going to say it's an incomplete pass.
Right, because the FAR judge, Mike, he didn't have a good look at it. He beanbagged it because he thought the ball was intercepted. But we've got to look at that. We'll see if the ball hits the ground or not.
There's 4 wideouts on the far side. Now, Greer gets hit, and the ball pops out.
Yep, it bounced twice.
And there it is.
Yeah.
Well, it's good deception by the Warriors.
Right.
You can come up with it.
Trying to win an acting award there.
On a 3rd and 12, Smith just throws it away. You know, on those total tackles, what am I going to tell Fred Dreyer? He thought he held the record.
Uh-oh.
So, Fred Dreyer, well, maybe when he played, you know, with leather helmets, they didn't keep track of those statistics.
Tell him we enjoyed his acting career.
He was acting when he was playing.
There you see Stevan Smith. See how he's got the helmet? He had it riding up a second ago. Well, just a moment ago, Mike, when he was running over to the near sidelines, you could see he had his chin up in the air because he's trying to avoid so badly the sun being in his eyes. That's really become a factor now in this game, and the El Camino defense has held Brown to 1.8 yards per carry after he started out on fire, so they've shut him down.
Brown had 2 scores, 1-yard dives, each of those. We have 2:35 remaining in the half, and Santa Monica is going to take a timeout. That is their 3rd timeout in the half.
And I'm not so sure that the injury suffered.
So Santa Monica with no timeouts remaining, while the Warriors have 3.
The injury on the ankle to Brown hasn't played a factor because we saw him come limping off earlier in this game. So we will try to check his health at the half and find out, because that's a big loss for the Corsairs if they don't have him to use in the second half.
The sun is starting to drop below the west side of Murdoch Stadium, and the temperature is also going to drop in the second half. I mean, we're not talking about playing in the Meadowlands in January.
No.
But this is not typical Southern California weather, even for early December. 2:35 to go. The Warriors leading 29-17.
Big 4th and 12 here. Remember, if you're a defensive back for El Camino, you've got to keep their routes short enough to where you can make a tackle so they can't get a first down. If you're the Corsairs, you've got to run a route deep enough if you're a receiver to pick up a first down.
Sykes to the near side. Smith and Cephas to the far side.
Jackson.
Here's a sack. It's Ladarius Jackson hits Smith from behind. In his throwing motion, it's ruled an incompleted pass.
Oh, boy, and he didn't hit him, Mike. He flattened him. An absolute pancake job, just blindsided. Poor Smith didn't see it coming at all, and he's checking his fillings right now because he was hit hard.
So on 4th and 12, the pass is incomplete. The Warriors will take over 1st and 10 with 2:30 remaining at their own 37. Leonard going all the way at quarterback. And snap goes over his head, but the whistle had blown the play dead. And fortunate enough for El Camino, as John Leonard saw it sail right over him back to the 20-yard line.
It's got to be a procedure penalty against the Warriors. The center started to snap it, then held it, then snapped it, and that caused the tackle to move on the right side. So a little bit of confusion there. The Warriors are going to go with a hurry-up offense, Mike. This is our first chance to see this so far in the game, and maybe they're a little off center right now. They're not firing on all cylinders as far as the communication goes on the hurry-up.
So the Warriors have Chapman near side. He has a touchdown reception. They've got Arnold the far side. He has a touchdown reception. In the slot, Reed. He caught the 3rd touchdown from John Leonard this afternoon.
Good choices to have.
Leonard looking over the middle of the field. There's Reed. The ball pops out. It goes to the 25-yard line. Sharon Arnold for a touchdown. That's one that'll go on your blooper highlight tape.
Are you kidding me?
And the Warriors score. It's 35-17. John Leonard gets his 4th touchdown pass. And just to replay that verbally, it went from Leonard to Reed. He was hit. The impact knocked the ball loose. And following the play was Sharon Arnold, who takes it in from the 20-yard line for a score.
Now, Mike, I know that one of your favorite plays is the hook and ladder, but you're not going to give Coach Featherstone or Coach Peterson running the offense proper credit for the run of the hook and ladder on that one, are you?
68 yards. The Warriors lead 35-17.
And more yardage for Leonard.
21 points, now 22 here in the second quarter. All right, there's the ball coming out of Reed, picked at the 25 by Sharon Arnold, and he has his 2nd score of the afternoon.
I mean, what a gift. You can't put it up any better than that.
36-17, the Warriors over Santa Monica.
I mean, talk about being in the right place at the right time. Everybody remembers Pete Rose's famous catch where he ran over by the dugout, and when the catcher dropped it, he was right there to scoop it up. Exact same thing for Sharon Arnold. Talk about being in the right place at the right time. I mean, boy, the ball's fumbled forward. He's at least 6-7 yards out of the picture, and it just finds its way right into his hands. I mean, absolutely hilarious. I'm sure the Corsairs find no humor in the situation, but regardless, you've got to call it an ironic football play. And just when things are going your way, as they have for the second quarter here for the Warriors, it comes up roses. Arnold now 2 receptions, if you can call it that, for 103 yards, although we should take about 40 yards out of that and give it to the initial receiver because it's just simply a fumble and an advanced play.
The kickoff by Flint Turner goes out of bounds for John Leonard. 4 touchdown passes this afternoon. The last one, 68 yards, goes Reed to Arnold. How do you score that? 1 to 3 to 5. Well, for 6.
Yeah, something like that.
1 to 3 to 5 equals 6.
Right. The math doesn't add up somehow. We got to work with square roots and fractions.
4 touchdown passes for Leonard. His 27 touchdown passes on the year, and here is the tale of the play. There's nobody who's going to catch Ron Arnold out of South Torrance.
And Chapman, the deepest man on the field at that, or Arnold rather, the deepest man on the field at that point, Mike. So there was nobody that was going to catch him because he was the furthest guy down the field, happened to be wearing a blue shirt, and the ball happened to go to him. John Leonard, are you ready? He's over that 300-yard barrier, Mike. 302 yards, 9 for 16 passing in the first half. Steve Sarkisian, look out, he's coming after you.
After the penalty for kicking out of bounds on the kickoff, Flynn Turner approaches.
His last 3 kickoffs had been out of bounds, Mike.
It'll come to Smith at the 15. Near side 30, 35, brought down at Santa Monica 37.
There's our man, Boots Meza. He's in on that hit. Number 91 leaving the field with the flowing locks coming out of the back of his helmet.
And with that signal from Jim Brewer, it sounds something like first down.
The old red cashin. El Camino now with 344 yards offense. Mike, John Leonard responsible for 302 of them. So what a performance he's putting on today at the bowl game. They say the big players play the biggest of the big games. Well, it's Mr. December here. And we'll see another look at this kickoff return. Watch Boots Meza, number 91, come into your picture. He's going to come right boop, there, piling on at the end.
Smith trying to play catch-up. Completes it to Cephas. He goes out of bounds at the 46. He's right at the first down chain. He'll be just short.
Well, this is all you have to do if you're El Camino. Keep them inbounds and keep the clock running. Remember those timeouts that the Corsairs had to burn at the end of the first quarter could come back to haunt them here on this drive, Mike.
Whoa! From the 46, Smith steps up, drills it, almost picked off. Again, it's Steve Osmond trying to step in.
See Osmond with a good chance. Dolores Grant, a defensive end that goes 255 pounds out of Centennial, just leaped over from the defensive end position. We saw some great footwork by him. We've seen him do that before. This is a very athletic crew that Coach Featherstone has recruited over here on defense. And although they're not the biggest defensive line, they sure are quick. And that's what's been able to keep them on the plus side and keep the Corsair point production tailing off here in the second quarter.
Well, Eric Barnes leads the conference with 6 interceptions on the year, and Foreman has 3. So between them, a combination of 9 of the 23 interceptions for the Warriors. Clock is stopped, 1:49 to go in this exciting first half. The Warriors lead 36-17 with 22 straight points here in the second quarter.
You see Dolores Grant and a Warrior timeout is taken.
All right. The Warriors took a timeout and stopped play as Santa Monica comes to the line of scrimmage. 1:49 to go. Beautiful afternoon of football. The first Southbay Classic between El Camino and Santa Monica.
Let me ask you a somewhat rhetorical question, Mike. Could this bowl ever take place for a national championship, or would the Mission Conference, Northern, and Southern teams decide to play on the road and not enable El Camino if they were ever in a position to have an undefeated season to play for a championship?
Well, the way it's set up now is that it alternates between North and South for the state championship. So they probably would have to show more success in attendance and come in with a major sponsor to put the bowl game on, because there's already some established bowls like the Strawberry Bowl and the Simple Green Bowl.
So what you're telling us
it does have a future.
Is there's a chance.
Yeah.
That's all we need to know. Keep your fingers crossed, Warrior faithful.
At the 47, Dylan Smith throws, completes it to Cephas. Out of bounds at the 44. Clock stops with 1:41 to go in the first half.
Well, there's a good job, and even though it's a short route, it's close to a first down. It enables them a free play to do something. If they want to take a shot now and throw it to one of the corner of the end zones, they can throw to Bomberowski. And the Warrior defense, again, just needs to find a way to keep that clock running. They've got to make tackles inbound. Cephas now 4 receptions, 33 yards.
At the 44, Cephas goes to the far side, strikes near side with Devon Smith in the slot, and a flag before The play gets underway, and somebody was holding on to Matt Cipolla, and they were wrestling like a couple of sumos.
Well, Matt Topola's beefed up, like we said, by 30 pounds. The guy's put on since last May. He was a volleyball player at Torrance High. That gives you an idea of his agility. Yeah, the fact that he can play defensive line now and just pick up 30 pounds like that is just amazing. They've got him in the weight room, and he's just turned into a man over the summer.
Grant and Jackson are indicating the penalty is against Santa Monica. And there's the call. Personal foul. Ball will go back to the...
Well, 2 penalties, Mike.
36-yard line. He kept walking. I'm ready to say, no, that's not 15.
No. Well, it goes from second and 2, second and 22.
They have to reach the 42-yard line. They're now at their own 36. Big chunk of territory for a first down. Second and 22, Cephas in motion. Smith with a slant, completes it. Sykes, they wrap him up at the 45. Picks up about 9 yards. The clock continues to run with a minute and a half to go in the half.
And that's the kind of pass completion the Warriors need to invite. That time, Dolores Grant, rather than pursuing around the outside, went up and followed the linebackers right up through the gut, and that's fine because he flushes the pass out to the side. Well, the DBs do a nice job of turning back to midfield, Mike, to enable that tackle to stay in bounds. Sykes now his 9th reception from 52 yards, so he's working hard, and it really racked up the receptions by, even though he doesn't have the total yardage.
Well, the Warriors defense can bend but not break. They don't want to give up the long score. Here's pressure. Ladarius Jackson puts pressure on Smith. He scrambles out of the pocket, completes it on the far side to the 46-yard line, and Cephas has the catch.
Well, I'm telling you, right in front of our official, Mike, Ladarius Jackson was blocked in the back, and I watched the official. He reached into his back pocket and started to pull the flag, and then for some reason thought not about doing it, either because we've had so many penalties in this game or because it wasn't going to be enough for a first down or whatever reason. He decided not to throw it, and
that was
a
very obvious block in the back as he chased the quarterback out of the pocket. So with a 4th and 4.5, Corsairs will punt. Barnes at the 8. Returns it to the 16, and we almost had a block in the back by the Warriors.
Another good decision not to do that. Let's take a look at the 3rd down play. Good concentration just to stay in bounds by Cephas. As he's under heavy pressure there, it's going to take a perfectly thrown pass, and it is. Nice concentration, although it's not enough for a first down. It sure helped the punt there.
McCullough right on his hip made the defensive play for the Warriors.
And again, nice job by McCullough not to enable him to get the first down. So that's an example there of, yes, you were beaten, the ball was caught, but that's not always disastrous. You still make a good tackle, and your team's happy.
1st and 10, El Camino. Warriors at their 16. Flowers, the 1 running back. Flowers carries to the 13. Make that to the 18. Picks up about 2.5.
Well, it's Mims there again to bring him down. The 2 guys that Coach Taylor told us to watch, Hendricks and Mims, and they have played well on defense so far for the Corsairs.
With no huddle near hash mark, clock is running, 20 seconds remaining. Again, draw play. Flowers, 25, 30, high steps at the 35, carries to the 42-yard line.
And they stop the clock to move the chains. We'll see if the Warriors want a timeout, and they do. Delvon Flowers just asked for it. Haven't heard a whistle yet, so they're going to set the chains, and then they should call timeout unless the timeout request was not acknowledged.
23-yard pickup for Flowers. Ball is at the 41.
9 carries for 66 yards now in the game for Flowers.
And the 1 score from 5 yards out. The only non-passing touchdown for the Warriors today.
You mean there was one? The John
We're
Leonard
so
show.
wrapped up in the show put on by the wide receivers and the quarterback John Leonard that we've bypassed the 5-yard run by Del Flowers.
11th first down of the game for the Warriors now, Mike, so they have really moved the chains. They put together a much better second quarter, especially on the defensive side of the football, and we see the fans now on our side here. They're completely out of the sun. Most of the field has been shaded there. They are bundling up. You are right. They got their beanies on their heads because it's chilly out there.
We got any heaters in this press box? No. From the 41-yard line, Warriors might be able to get off 2 plays before halftime. Leonard only needs 1. He's got Drury at the 25. They say he stepped out of bounds. They're going to mark it at the 21-yard line.
I thought he stayed in, but there's the official right on top of the call. So do you kick a field goal now, or do you throw to the end zone? Well, here comes Flynn Turner right into the field, and the Warriors might have stolen 3 points here, Mike, with a wonderfully orchestrated drive. Give John Leonard just another nice completion. Oh, my goodness, what a day.
39-yard pickup. Nobody guarding the tight end, Drury.
Yeah, they're going one-on-one coverage, and Drury at his height, I mean, you just can't do it.
So Flynn Turner, 7 of 9 with field goals on the year, will attempt this one at the 28. Be a 38-yard field goal. Cooper will hold near hash mark. 38-yard attempt. Turner from Beverly Hills. He's got it. So the Warriors take advantage. The defense holds. The offense moves it right down with great clock management in the closing minute. And they go up now by a score of 39-17. Just 2 seconds remaining in the half.
And here's the catch that enabled that last score to come forward. We'll see. Oh, you're right. Drury just stepped out of bounds. Great camera work, guys. Fantastic job. He had 2 feet land on the line, but that's the play that set up the final 3 points here by the Warriors in the first half. Drury, the tight end, is 6'2", 190 pounds, Mike. That's just too much size for a normal defensive back to contend with. Most of your DBs are 5'9", 5'10", quick guys that are used to covering other quick guys. So that's a wonderful mismatch that the Warriors have wanted to exploit. They've done it. And here's the line of the first half for Leonard. 10 for 17, 341 yards, and 4 TDs. There's the footwork again. 1 foot down, 2 feet down on the line, and then he gets the rest of his feet back in. But a good call by the official.
So the onside kick is recovered by the Warriors at midfield. They completely surprised Santa Monica. There is 1 second remaining in the half. So after they convert with the 38-yard field goal for Flynn Turner,
well, I don't know how they can surprise them.
Kick, and they recover at midfield.
How could they surprise him, Mike? There's the big first down call, but we got a player knocked unconscious or something down on the field. He's shaken up. We can't tell who it is. There's going to be a stoppage in play, but you definitely want to do that and kick an onside kick there to start the clock.
The Warriors take a timeout. There's an injured player on the field. We're coming right back. You're watching Warrior football on TCTV.
It's a precious thing, price. But if you're over 60 or black and over 40, there is something that could take it away. Glaucoma. Unless you discover it early through a dilated eye exam. Don't give glaucoma a chance.
1 second remaining in the half. The Warriors leading 39-17. Leonard going for it all. He's got Chapman at the 10, and it's picked off. So with the pass interception ending the first half of action, we're going to go to break. We'll be back with the third quarter. You're watching the Southbay Classic with the score. El Camino Warriors 39, Santa Monica 17. This is Warrior football on TCTV. Welcome back to the Southbay Classic. I'm Mike Kennedy with Chris Ratcliffe. The El Camino College Warriors hosting Santa Monica, and they haven't been very cordial to their guests as they lead 39-17. You know, Chris, the Warriors on the year, we've talked about all the points they can put up on the board. They average 39 on the season per game. They already have 39 here at halftime, including those 4 touchdown passes from John Leonard.
They sure do, and 80 points is not out of the question, and the reason for that is because of 11 first downs in the first half and a total yards production number of 407 yards. Leonard, 10 for 17 passing, 341, 4 touchdowns. The 1 interception there ended the first half, but it was kind of a moot point because they just kind of threw it up for grabs. Arnold, 2 receptions, and you've got the numbers on the other receivers, Mike.
We were tied at 14-14, and then the Warriors outscored Santa Monica 25-3 in the second quarter. Sharon Leonard had the 2 receptions for 103 yards and 2 touchdowns. The tight end Drury with 2 catches, 93 yards. Del Flowers had 9 carries for 66 yards. So not a favorite target for John Leonard as he hit Antonio Chapman. Arnold had 2 and Reed had 1. And the Warriors late as we start the second half. They will receive as McGee kicks it off short. It'll be taken by Chapman at the 22. Tries to get to the outside. He's got blocked. He's at the 45 at midfield. Carries back to the 49-yard line. An excellent return by the special teams. And first and 10 Warriors leading by 22 as we start the second half.
And that has been the difference is the offense the Warriors have been able to put up. Sam only had 243 yards of total offense in the first half. Smith, the quarterback, 15 for 28 for 124 yards. So he threw more than Leonard, but the receiving yardage is just 3 to 1, or a 1 to 3 ratio, we should say. Big difference in production, and John Leonard will take over in the second half, eyeballing the record set by Steve Sarkisian back in 1994, 645 total yards in a game. Steve did it in a bowl game as well, Mike, as we take another look at the return by Chapman.
The playing field almost entirely in shadows. The first pass attempt incomplete for Sharon Arnold, so I would expect the lights to take effect sometime here in the third quarter.
They will need to turn them on, Mike, and we're looking at having a possible game-ending time of maybe 5:15 or 5:30 now, and that will be in the dark.
With no huddle after the incompletion, second and 10. John Leonard at the control.
Oh, boy.
And a procedure penalty, or somebody moved quickly. May have been Adrian Davila, the left side guard for the Warriors.
Well, Mike, when Davila moves, you know it. The earth moves. 330-pounder over there. He's a big man on that line.
He told me he's lost some weight. He's lost 25, 30 pounds since they went to camp back in August.
Are you kidding me? Well, I don't know.
He was pushing the scale. From the 46. With a second and 15 for Leonard. The pass. Ball is deflected and intended out here in the flat for Antonio Chapman. They get a strong rush from the outside and bat that one down.
Well, it was batted down at the line of scrimmage. I'm not so sure, Mike, when you're with Davila now, if he's down to, even though he's lost weight, I don't think he's going to fit into his Speedo just yet, because that is a big man over there. He was the one that was involved in that last headbutting there, like a couple of rams up on a mountain as those 2 linemen continued to go after the ball was batted.
So let's give credit up front. The guards, Ariano and Davila. The center is Seuss, and the tackles, Tuyama and Miller. From the 46, Reed in motion. Leonard throws a screen. It's Drury. The 45, blockers ahead of him downfield. Carries it all the way to the Santa Monica 33-yard line and a first down for the Warriors. And again, it is that play calling by Fred Peterson that has just really confused this defense.
I just saw Fred right here coming out of the tunnel at the end of the first half, and he's excited. For him, they want to press the issue here for the Warriors in the second half and open up that defense even more. He's just having fun picking apart the Corsairs right now.
With no huddle. Leonard with 2 wideouts left. Pitch goes to Flowers. Flowers with 1 score already from 5 yards out. 21 on the year. Carries down to the 27-yard line. And a pickup of about 5 for Del Flowers, who averages 8 yards per carry and rushed for over 1,000 yards this year.
And guess what? Another late flag, Mike. Let's take another look at the previous play.
And that was the big reception, first down by Robert Drury.
Back to live action, personal foul now against Santa Monica, and the first down call. First down.
Let's look for that signal from referee Jim Farmer. He's to the right of your picture, and he's just stepped out of the screen. As we look at the injured player, Santa Monica takes a timeout, official's timeout, stops the clock with 14:13 remaining here in the third quarter.
Well, we got another look at this play, Mike. We'll see if we can tell who's shaken up and how. There goes the pass out on the flat to Flowers. Now, this is what he does best. Spinning, cutting, knifing. And, boy, we can't tell who the player shaken up was. It's got to be a turned ankle or somebody falling. It appeared to be number 26. and Tulio Anaroche, 6 foot 290-pound sophomore. But, yeah, that is who it is. And he'll come off. So he must have had someone roll onto his ankle just before he was getting up, Mike. That's what I would think the play was. Guys, while we have a chance in the truck, if we could get a shot over by the 20-yard line right now on the far west side of the field, there's a gentleman wearing a sweater. He's about at the 25. And if we can get a shot, we got a great story about him as our cameras scope around for that possibility. His name's Sid Seaman, and he's actually an NFL lineman judge who's been working for more than 20 years in the pros, and he's going to be some Monday Night Football. It's going to be a little less of that, guys. We're going to pan down to the opposite side of the field where there's no action. And he will be at Monday Night Football, Mike. He will be flying to Tampa Bay tomorrow to work the game between Tampa Bay and Green Bay. So it's going to be the Battle of the Bays, and there we see Coach Featherstone, who's standing at about the 45. So we got to go another 50 yards to the left.
Offensive line coach Gene Engel behind Coach Featherstone. From the 14.
Oh, boy.
Leonard loses one. And it looks like he's dragged down by that all-Western States defensive end, Jabari Hendricks.
Yeah, Hendricks is the guy that gets him. And a lot of guys Leonard can run away from there, but Hendricks is too quick. There's Sid Seaman. Hello, Sid, as he comes into focus. And that is a popular spot for him, guys. He works right there amongst the NFL, so he sees the most elite. And he's good friends with Fred Peterson. Sid coached at Hawthorne High School for many years, top school there. So he and Fred go way back. And when he came back out, Fred said, hey, have you got, what do you think of our players? And Sid says, we like them. You got a good crew there. And, of course, the officials were asking Sid to watch their behavior tonight. So Sid taking in the afternoon football game.
Warriors from the 9, Leonard, pump fake. Throws corner of the end zone. Sonny Bird! Touchdown, Warriors! Takes the grab. So Sonny Bird comes out of the backfield, makes a diving reception in the corner of the end zone, and it is the 5th touchdown pass for John Leonard this afternoon, and the Warriors, with just 2 minutes expired here in the third quarter, increase their lead to 45-17.
I'm telling you, Mike, we're going to have a new trivia question or an answer today after this football game, whether he breaks Sarkeesian's record or not. John Leonard is on his way to breaking records. I mean, fantastic. Finds Sonny Bird soaring in the right side of the end zone for the easy score. Boy, they're picking up right where they left off in the first half.
Clint Turner with another point after. Good. It's 46-17, Warriors over Santa Monica.
Ho-hum, just another 60-yard drive, so pile that up with a 68-yard drive, an 80-yard drive. I mean, the Warriors have marched all over the football field today, Mike.
28 touchdown passes on the year for John Leonard. And I talked briefly with Kevin Cooper, the backup, and he said they've set up probably get some playing time today. After this performance by John Leonard, maybe he will get a break, and Kevin will get to play some mop-up in the fourth quarter.
Well, remember, when you're at a junior college, you can leave either year. So if he meets the academic standards of a team that wants him in, John Leonard, that is, he could be snapped up and be out of Coach Featherstone's hands within the course of 1 year, which Coach Featherstone really can't feel bad about. You've got to be happy about a guy that's showing progress and moving on. So in all seriousness, Kevin Cooper could be his starting quarterback for next year.
Well, Kevin was a gray shirt last year, and John Leonard has plenty of offers for Pac-10 schools this year. Glenn Turner takes it deep. It's Sykes and Smith. Smith ends up with it at the 5. Brings it back, and tackle missed by Shawnee. There's the 40. There's Glenn Turner. The 45 going the other direction. Finally, it's Lee Osman making the tackle. Brings it all the way back to the Warriors' 23-yard line.
And Smith with an absolutely beautiful run back. He niced up the middle after taking it well inside the 10-yard line, and he's off to the left, Mike, and gone. That's a perfect example of using the sideline, turn it on the speed, and just get past everybody. And that's got that bundled up crowd. Now you can see the smoke coming up off the hot chocolates, and people made a break for it at the snack bar because things have really cooled off here, but they've got something to heat up about now with the Corsair is about to get back in this game.
Devon Smith with that kickoff return with excellent field position. Dylan Smith from the 23 completes it to Greer And Greer slips, goes down at the 16-yard line, but a pickup of 7.
Albion Yee, the linebacker, 225-pounder out of Maricosta, another Mustang, along with Sonny Bird, that's come over here to El Camino, grabbing a hand and helping out with the tackle.
Brings up a 2nd and 3. 12:15 to go in the third quarter from El Camino.
And everybody hoping that both teams run the ball a little bit more here in the second half. Mike, speed this game along. That first half was a long one.
Took just 2 hours first half. Brown, El Turkey Brown off the left side to the 15, a 1-yard gain. Southbay Classic in its inaugural game featuring El Camino Warriors in Santa Monica.
Had a lot of fun.
Lead 46-17.
The team that was really ousted was Mount Sac, who came out of that conference. They tried to put a bowl game together, and with the last second, we're trying to invite Santa Monica. But Coach Taylor, knowing the attitude and the relationship, as we see the tackle once again, the relationship and the respect that Coach Featherstone demands, he knew that when the Warriors called, that's a game he'd like to participate in.
Here's Brown again, who already has 2 scores from 1-yard dives. Carries to the 13-yard line.
Oh,
So Mount Sac finishes with a record of 7-3, and they are last year's national champs. And they're on the outside looking in as they don't get a bowl invitation. We have a penalty that stops play with 11:17 to go in the third.
And what have you done for me lately? Boy, you wonder if you're the coaching staff, what do we have to do over there? I mean, they go 7-3, and now El Camino, because they invented their own bowl game of sorts, gets to go to a game, but they don't, and they beat El Camino, so it's got to be very frustrating for them.
Cerritos just squeaked by, beating Mount Sac.
Right.
Then Mount Sac knocked off El Camino, and then Mount Sac had Long Beach City College,
You don't sneak past
undefeated
them.
record, right on the ropes.
Yeah, they did. And they couldn't put them away on a cold, chilly night down in Long Beach, and Long Beach went on to win it. The rest is history. Now it's in their hands what they do today with Palomar.
We have 11 minutes remaining. Out of the shotgun with Smith, 3 wideouts left side, throws, touchdown, complete. Eugene Sykes, no, they're going to mark it out short.
Wow.
So he makes a diving catch, rolls to the end zone, and he is about 4 inches short of the goal line.
Boy, yeah. And remember, he's got to be touched to be down, but in college, it's any part of you that's down like the knee. So in the NFL, that's definitely a touchdown.
That is the last remaining sunlight in all of Murdoch Stadium. It is on the far side from the 10 to the 5-yard line. So inside of a yard with a 2nd and goal. And it's Dylan Smith on a quarterback keeper. Smith goes in for the touchdown.
And it's going to be
score stands now at 46-23 Warriors.
It's going to be difficult to stop a quarterback sneak from 4 inches. I mean, that's darn near impossible. All you have to do is reach out with the football and put it across. So wisely, Santa Monica runs a rather cautious play and ends up getting 6 more points. There's our field, Mike. There you see the corner of that sunlight that was just on the official's face that we saw. That is the final remaining bit of sunlight, and there's a breeze down there on the field as well, too, Mike. So things have really cooled off. Going to get down to the 50s tonight, maybe even the upper 40s.
A little wind chill. Scott McGee with the conversion. 46-24. Plenty of life left in this Santa Monica Corsairs football team. So they match El Camino touchdown for touchdown in the first 5 minutes, opening the third quarter.
And don't forget, all this cold weather, it really plays havoc on your body as well. They stretch well before the first half, these players, and then all of a sudden it gets really cold out here. Every hit they're going to feel, and it's going to be more and more difficult to recuperate from that. Also, the ground's going to get a lot harder as these guys dive and jump around on it. So what started out as a really sunny, enjoyable day, probably a loose, good-feeling atmosphere out there for the players where they could get a good sweat going. Now for the guys that spend a lot of time on the sidelines that are on special teams, they've really got to try to stay loose.
Warrior defense ranked 4th in the Mission Conference. They gave up a total of 29 scores on the year, and they've given 3 more here today. 2 on 1-yard runs by Brown, and then a 1-yard plunge by quarterback Dylan Smith. Kickoff will come up short at the 25, fumbled by Rashad Reed. He goes back, picks it up, and brings it to the 31.
I imagine by now they do need the lights on because the entire field is covered in shadows.
You would think they should turn them on, too, Mike, just for precautionary. You always see that at baseball stadiums or whatever. As soon as you reach dusk, you want those lights on so that there's a natural transition as well on the eyes.
It would also help our cameras.
Yes, it would.
46-24. 10:04 to go.
Here's another look at the run back. There you see, probably a good decision just to jump on at that point, but Rashad Reed, he's a gutsy player, and that's why he's one of those guys that returns those punts, and he picks it up and tries to make something out of it.
He gets about 5 yards out of the return from the far hash mark.